the echoes fight. Neon dreams and pixel dust through the cold, relentless thrust. Streaming worlds in constant flux, electric veins, chaotic rush. Restless voice, the static cracks, solitude with neon tracks. Curiosity streaming the light through the chaos, endless fight. In the glow of a midnight screen, seeking truth in the unseen. Why is single reality torn? His heart beats in the digital storm. Faces flicker, fading gleam, caught within a cyber dream. In the silence of the light, searching through the endless night. Restless scream against the void, hope and fear become alloyed. Curiosity streaming the light through the chaos, endless fight. In the glow of a midnight screen, seeking truth in the unseen.
Hi dudes, welcome back. Another episode. Here we are again. Hopefully everybody's been well. Welcome Wayne, Word Drinker, Aaron, everybody else who may watch this VOD. Special 420 edition of the Jim Russell Show, I guess, this evening of a SKIZ0 Sunday with Mr. GALENTV. Yes, you're high as fuck, Wayne. Well, as it should be, brother. Listen, on this 420. I just made a big mess over myself. I'm not high as fuck though. Slightly buzzed still. Dinner. Anyway, welcome everybody. Easter as well. He is risen. He is risen. Has he risen? I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? He will come soon. He who was GALENTV with stories. Unfortunately, his favorite website where he gets all the stories from has been shut down. The Chans. My God, end of an era, truly. Very sad. Pambo, what's up, dude? 420's kicked in. 420's locked in, brother. God damn it. If only I had my vape, I could actually... The fucking thing... I actually lasted me for quite a while, and then the fucking battery burned out on it, and... It was a DaVinci Mini I had. A handy little thing, actually, but I fucking actually lost the whole thing now. I moved so much the last couple of years, man. Fucking no. Ugh. Anyway, yes, other than that, a couple things I want to go over. New UAP hearing in May. Pyramid slop continues. Scans may be correct. I may even get out of that tomorrow night, depending upon what else we're talking about here. So, the first thing I want to pull up, though, is... Where are we here now? Oh, this. Oh, how exciting it is. As a huge fan of the Elder Scrolls series, I'm anxiously awaiting this. People think I'm not like hyping myself up, but people think it's going to release tomorrow. Supposedly, it's going to have a file size of 120 gigabytes, which is insane. I think the regular Oblivion has like a file size of 5. I was playing it like a couple months ago. I hadn't really played Oblivion in, oh my god, since before Skyrim came out. I kind of stopped playing it after Skyrim came out. So I was playing it a little bit and then it crashed and I just gave up, but crazy shit. So supposedly this is one of the guys who was spot on with the leak to begin with. He's been right pretty much all the way along. And he said tomorrow we'll be releasing, possibly tonight at midnight. So for those of us that are fans of the Elder Scrolls hype, I just hope that it's not $120. There is a deluxe edition that's also going to be releasing with it, so oh god, that's the only part I'm like, fucking Christ. Anyway, I'm gonna fucking buy it, man. I don't play a lot of games. I played Monster Hunter and I had fun with the boys, but holy fuck, that game runs like a piece of hot shit. So, anyway, probably will stream it actually. I don't know. I'm not going to interrupt what I usually do in the evenings, but depending upon how busy it is with the game, I mean, depending on how good it is, I may stream my first reactions to it. If it's out tomorrow, that might be what I do tomorrow night. Because tomorrow's technically a holiday too here. Friday and Monday are holidays here, so yeah. You can play games before you buy them. That is true though, man. Yeah, you can return it if you don't like it. I mean, I just know I'm going to play it either way. I mean, I'm going to dedicate myself to a full playthrough. I've put, oh god, 15,000 hours into Skyrim over all the iterations of it. I mean, just a disgusting amount of time into Skyrim. And it's a game I played the most. And then Oblivion was before that, the game I played the most from 2006, 7 when it came out until 2011. That's kind of the only game I played, that World of Warcraft. So, and before that, all I played was Morrowind. So it's kind of my game, yeah. Yeah. Man, they're so good. It's so good. The music, I mean, oh my god, since I've been streaming, like I think probably 60% of the time I'm playing actually Oblivion lo-fi tunes in the background, like Harvest Dawn. I love the music from Oblivion. It's so good. It's gonna be a trip down nostalgia lane, that's for goddamn sure. Like simpler times, brother. Teenage years. Simpler times, definitely. For me at least. For other people it might be different, but for me, it was my teenage years and simpler fucking times, man. Well, my later teenage years, I guess. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be shit. No, fuck you. No, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be incredible. That's my prediction. This is going to be incredible because Bethesda has nothing to do with it. So anyway, I'm hyped. I'm hyped for it. I'm really looking forward to it. But there was something else. I think the file size got leaked. I've been talking about this. But yeah, I'm curious as to like how overhauled it's going to be. But I guess, listen, we might find out here in a couple hours, actually. So this was it. So supposedly, I don't know if this is real or not. It's a dude trolling. I'm curious if the image is there. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, oh, it's just an account. Okay. Can't trust some of the shit. But I know this guy was one of the dudes that leaked it originally, Cran. So hopefully, Halo 2 death matches with shotties. Happy days gone by, man. Oh, Halo was another great game, and that was another great game. Fuck, that was another Halo and Halo 2, and was it Halo 3 too? The Call of Duty games too, man, were great. Like, oh my god, I remember playing those too with the guys. Like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was when it really kicked off, and then there was the Black Ops, the first Black Ops 2. I remember all the guys, we were in university, we were playing that, and oh my god, that, and then they'll go watch Jersey Shore, and I'd take along and be like, oh my fucking god. But anyway, simpler times, man. It really was a better time for gaming to some degree, even with like even the Oblivion days, man, like the early to mid 2000s. I just remember, I don't know, I really do think, as much as the internet is a great resource, I do think it kind of polluted it a little bit. Like even World of Warcraft early on, like you wouldn't know where to go, you wouldn't know what to do. You'd have to like read the quest text. I remember doing that when I first started playing back in Burning Crusade, back when it first launched, I started playing. And I remember kind of really getting immersed in it. I remember later on, like, you know, people, as soon as the expansion came out, everyone's got the add-ons for like the quest add-ons. And I was like, what the fuck is the point of this? Like, it's almost like there's too much information out there, and people kind of, it killed the immersion a little bit where you had to be immersed in the game to know what was going on. Now, you know, before the expansion or the game even launches, you get 30 fucking streamers and reviewers who've already played it being like, we're going to give you the guide on where to go next. It's like, fuck you. I want to figure out where to go myself. Like, it's just, that shit pisses me off sometimes. It just does. I can understand a let's play, but like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of fucking obnoxious personally, but oh shit, man. Oblivion remaster versus original early graphics comparison. Yeah. Oh, this is it here. Oh my god. You got the music. No, just, it's not even Oblivion music. Interesting. The architecture's still pretty similar. This is on the front page. Oh, fuck yeah, man. Corey, what's up? Wow, it's definitely high resolution. This is in, the southern city. God, I should know the name. Starts with an A. Is it Anvil? Oh, this would be crazy to play, Corey. Yeah. That is a step up, to say the least. Holy shit. Man. Wow. It was a good call to put this in Unreal Engine 5, because any other way they did this, it was probably gonna fail. That's unbelievable, man. Wow. Even like the distant visuals. It was always the thing that the Elder Scrolls struggled with, was with the engine that they used, the LOD textures, it looked terrible. And like you'd walk out in an open plane and it would just look like shit in the distance. Like it kind of killed the immersion. Like Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption did a really brilliant job at that. And I was always hoping the next Elder Scrolls would kind of step up the game a little bit. And I mean, holy shit, man. God, this is what I've been waiting for, something like this for a long time. Like, I mean, it's kind of crazy that this game has been remastered. It's 20 years old before we get the next Elder Scrolls. Like, but anyway. Is it bad performance, Corey? Okay. I know visually it's beautiful. I've heard that. Holy shit, that's a Kavach, the other gate. This is a random Oblivion portal. That's Kavach there. I'll be curious if they, supposedly, from what people were saying, the expansions are also going to launch with it in the DLCs. Like the Knights of the Nine and the Shivering Isles will supposedly all launch. That looks like it's got mods on it. It looks really good, actually. Oh, man. I didn't know there was a night shot of it. Holy shit. Wow. Couldn't need a 5090. Fuck, man. That's the only thing I'm worried about is performance-wise. I only got a 4060. I saw they have a 5060 Ti out that just blew the 4060 out of the goddamn water. It's not that expensive either. I might have to fucking buy it. Although I just bought this, for Christ's sake, on sale. Whoa. Oh, man. Don't get TI. No, it's not worth it for you. Holy shit. Man. Look at that. These are some new images I haven't seen, actually. They must have data mined some more images. Oh. Wow. Wow. It was a bit of a struggle playing through it. Because I went back to it recently and tried. I played through the Shivering Isles, actually. I wanted to get Mehrunes Razor because it was never in the original game. The dagger. And I got it, but then the game kept crashing. I was like, holy fuck. Oh, man. Wow. They did a brilliant job. I mean, we'll have to get into the game and see what it actually looks like, but I mean, they did a brilliant job keeping the vibe, honestly. Like, the vibe is very much the same. It's all about the CUDA core count. Higher the better is generalization, yeah. Best budget card is a new AMD. You gotta get a 5070 Ti at least, oh, really? Yeah, the 4060, I've just got a regular 4060 right now. That's a crazy comparison there. That's the exit once you get out of the sewers, once you get into the tutorial. Man. Unreal. Man, that starting area too, like at dusk or dawn there. Holy shit. It's just fucking nuts. I mean, that's almost 20 years. It is actually insane to think it's been almost 20 years. Mother of God. I love the sword. Looks brilliant too. It kind of looks like Sting. Bilbo's sword, actually. A little bit. Like, I wonder because they had short swords and long swords, didn't they, in Oblivion? Or was that in Morrowind? But I kind of preferred the system in Oblivion over Skyrim, personally. Skyrim, they wanted to kind of make this like more kind of free, do whatever you want, level up, whatever. I liked the character archetypes that you could create in Oblivion. I like that idea a little bit, where you can kind of make your own, but I preferred the leveling system in Oblivion, personally. So, yeah, it'd be very cool to go back to, yeah. Yes, Max, happy 420, brother, absolutely, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I only play 1080p, yeah. As long as something gets 60 FPS and it looks half decent, you know. The problem is, the Monster Hunter game that just came out was terribly optimized. Like, you know, with full settings, we should have probably been running that at 60 FPS. But I struggled to run at 60, and that's what the Shadows turned out. It's just it's a disastrous launch for that game. If I could review the game, I mean, the gameplay is incredible, but fuck, I'd probably give it like a 5 or 6 out of 10 on PC. Because it was just such a disastrous, and it's still fucked. The game is still fucked. It's a complete disaster. Which broke my heart because I love the game so much, and it's so fun to play, but it's almost unplayable on PC still. Like the other day I was playing it, it just was fucking terrible. Yeah. Fuck, crazy shit, huh? Yeah. I think that's the last photo, probably. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Pretty cool. Well, hopefully in T-minus 4 or 5 hours, 4.5 hours, we may find out. We might be getting it, so. Yeah. With the Transformer model, you can get away with DLSS performance mode on NVIDIA cards. Right. Yeah, that's what I've been using the Monster Hunter, yeah. Yeah. Fire up the original tonight so I get the full effect of the transition. I think I might have it still installed too, man, yeah. Yeah, Bones, what's up, dude? Fuck, anyway, yeah. It's gonna be lit. For people that grew up with it or played it back in the day. And, you know, there'll be a whole new generation of people, too, that'll get to play it, I'm sure, and fall in love with it. There was a lot, it's crazy, but I even remember running into people who are probably 10 years younger than me, and they were like, oh my God, yeah, Skyrim came out. That was a game I played when I was a kid. I was like, holy fucking Christ. I was like, yeah, I was 21. I remember taking the day off work to play it on my PS3, I think, or PS4. I can't remember. So they'd never even played Oblivion. So it'll be a great introduction for people who just played Skyrim to kind of go back and get a vibe for what it was like. So anyway, I'm sure it'll sell like a motherfucker. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a lot of fucking fun. Yeah. Oh, you're up there post meds for extraction. Oh, fuck. Did they take the tooth out, Bones? Did they take it out already? Fitting for 420, brother, to get fucking lit up. Here, I got something in the background for you. Space Brother compilation. This guy made this. There you go. It's a good 420 fucking.
I'm in a skip divided malfunction.
Space Brother compilation.
Dive bomb, frantically around
oh my God.
July, enveloped in a sad distraction.
Oh fuck.
Got your voice repeating endlessly. Could you guide me in? Could you smother me? I swoop around your head, but I never.
Oh fuck, hold on. That's Travis Walton. Fuck. Where was he? That's Travis Walton there. That's his experience. Oh, that's a good one. I've seen that before. That was Buddy who came and picked him up. He had wandered he was in like a fit and he didn't know where he was. He's panicking and he walked out of the room he was in and he walked into like the control room and he was fucking around with the controls in the captain's chair, and then this guy walked in with the fucking fishbowl on his head and grabbed him out of it. Yeah. Holy fuck. Yeah, anyway. Oh my god.
Electric vein passed through me. I thought there was this big connection. I only got.
Alright, that's getting hard in my head, yeah. Holy shit, this is the Vargina alien there. James Fox's Vargina alien, yeah. Oh yeah, Socorro. Okay, there you fucking go. Oh, I meant to bring this up. No more probing today, brother, yeah. Come with me, brother. We've got a big probe for you. Project UFO. Someone had told me this was on Netflix, so we watched it. Project UFO miniseries. Here it is right here. I enjoyed this. I thought it was good. We watched this over the last couple days. I think it's only like 4 episodes long. It's Polish, but so it's dubbed. But I still, even with the dub, I still kind of enjoyed it. It's very interesting. I mean, they kind of get into ufology a little bit. They bring up like USOs, like underwater submersible objects versus unidentified flying objects. You lost me at Polish, yeah. Yeah, usually I'm not a fan of dubbed TV shows or movies, but we just started watching it and we started to get into it. So, yeah, it was pretty good. I'll watch usually anything with like UFO alien based, whatnot. So, yeah, it's a very interesting kind of premise. I think it takes place in like the 80s, maybe in Poland, 90s, 80s, something like that. So, anyway, I don't know what do they score it? Whatever. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, I like going off of like recommended, not recommended. Like the rating thing to me kind of always, it's like, is it recommended or not? You know, it's like yes or no. I don't like being like, it's a 6.4. It's like, fuck's that supposed to mean? Like what, should I watch it now? Like 5.7. I would score it higher than that. If it was in like native language, it probably would have been better. But, fuck, I don't know. You know, if I had to, I probably would have given it like 7.5 or something. So I definitely would watch it. Especially if you like UFOs, yeah. I guess one of the best sci-fi authors in history. Yeah, it was pretty well written. I enjoyed it. It was they kind of get like the crazy UFO guy on there. They're trying to convince the public as to what's going on in the midst of like some kind of revolution going on in Poland. So I don't know if that was in reference to like an actual revolution in Poland. I don't really know Polish history very well aside from, you know, the invasion back in the day, but anyway, yeah. Check it out. It's fairly decent. If you have nothing to watch, give it a shot. Unless coming from me, that probably means it's fairly enjoyable for most people because I have a hard time sitting down and watching stuff like new things. Like I have a very short attention span sometimes when it comes to stuff like this. So I enjoyed it. So not a lot of references to stuff in ufology, some. But anyway, I'm not going to spoil anything because there's a lot in it. But it's definitely worth checking out, I think, in my opinion. But I thought I'd mention that. But it's kind of like a thriller too, a little bit. So anyway, alien invasion drama sci-fi. Interesting. Yeah, it's been a while since there's been like a good show or a good series of shows. Yeah, man, check it out. Yeah, see what you think of it. Yeah. It's because in the UDSSR, it was a medium where was not a lot of censorship. So a lot of philosophers, for example, gravitated to this genre. Oh, interesting. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Did I watch and enjoy Loki? Yeah. How many seasons are on Loki? Is there 1 or 2? I think I saw at least one. Loki, like the Marvel show, Aaron? Yeah. I think I saw both of them. I don't remember though. I don't remember. It was the whole time cop thing, right? With him. I think I did. I think I saw it. Yeah. It's been a while since we have like a good series though. That's one thing I was thinking about the other day. Like, remember back, like Game of Thrones had started in 2010. Because remember, I'd just gone back to university and it started. I remember thinking I had to study for exams. And I skipped over the first season because I just heard about it. I was watching the Yogs cast of all places, which are these two funny guys who play Minecraft together. But they had a podcast, and the guy who played Hodor was a fan of theirs, and they'd interviewed him. And so I listened to the podcast and thought it was kind of a cool show, like fantasy show. And so I binge watched the first season in like 2 days. And that was right ahead of the second season releasing, and then I was hooked. And then I read all the books, and that was like the last big series to come out. It's funny there hasn't been another one, really. Well, there's another one too I'm forgetting aside from that, but yeah. Yeah. Just sussing your Netflix behavior out. Loki was shit. Was that on Disney Plus though? I don't really remember very well, to be honest. Yeah, I thought it was, from what I'm remembering, I thought it was okay, but it's like all the Marvel movies. Like my partner, she hates all the Marvel movies. It's funny because she was like a huge comic book nerd growing up. She had like all these like vintage comics and shit. And she loved like all the Marvel comics, but she hated the movies, interestingly. And I would go and watch them with like the guys. We would go, like a group of us, and it was like a big deal, like, you know, popcorn night. Because I'm not a huge movie guy, and so usually when I would go be for those big like blockbuster flicks. So yeah, it called me out. So yeah, I mean, they're always just I just kind of looked at them as like just straight up entertainment, like. But I don't think any of them tried to be too deep anyway. It's just kind of like big booms and shit, right? Like, kind of like Sylvester Stallone movies back in the day. Like, it's all about the big booms and the hot people, and you're like, oh, these people are hot, and wow, those are some big booms. Like, and that's essentially that's what you get out of the fucking experience. Yeah, I won. Oh, fuck. yeah. Yeah, anyway, fuck. Yeah. After COVID, I completely lost interest in the movies, and fuck. I don't know. I feel like am I the only one? Like, I feel like there hasn't been anything like really big. Like the whole Marvel series has kind of like died down. Game of Thrones is gone. There was another one. Well, like I grew up with like the Harry Potter movies, although I didn't really watch them. I didn't watch all of them at the time, but it was another big thing. Like every year there was one of those coming out. There was always like some kind of fucking series running that everyone would get excited about. I don't think there is anymore right now, is there? I'm trying to think of one. I'm probably just out of the loop. Tom Hanks was dead to me. Blame QAnon for that. Oh fuck. The Strangler. The Strangler, Tom, yeah. Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that whole thing kind of fucked me up too, man. Honestly, here in the early days. I mean, it's funny because now it has such a schizo rap. And I mean, that makes sense because it started off in 4chan. But for people that followed that in the early days, man, I don't know who was on there. I don't think we'll ever really know. But whoever was on there was aware of some shit. And I don't know when it stopped. It probably, once it moved over to 8chan, that's when I felt like I stopped really following it as much. And that's when it became solidified, and then they got their own like tag and shit. But I remember early on, man, some of the stuff they posted, holy fuck. They were posting like videos inside shipping containers in China, iPhones. Like somebody was documenting shipments of phones, and they were implying that all the phones had been compromised. And they were going for sale to diplomats and people within the U.S. government. And that, something that people weren't aware of, but the Chinese government was spying and compromising some of these members of government, Congress, Senate, whatever, in the U.S. And it got pretty deep, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fucking sketchy shit. Like, who is this? Like, who are these people? Like, man, it was, yeah. Yeah, I got hijacked by MAGA. Exactly, Aaron. Yeah, I think this is exactly what happened. Yeah, it kind of got like the Facebook groups got into it and shit, but whatever happened initially, I think there was definitely something going on there. Yeah, it did. It felt like it was actually a group of people, maybe ex-NSA or ex-intelligence people that had maybe gotten into some other people's phones and saw some very disturbing things, and they went out or went rogue and were starting to post online. And I don't know. I don't think we might never know. Honestly, it's hard to say, but yeah. To get the boomers on board, yeah, Corey, it could very well been, yeah. But yeah, I'll never forget some of those posts, man. I'll never forget the posts. The most disturbing things I remember they shared were from some of these celebrities on Twitter, actually, where they were sharing their actual tweets that weren't deleted. You could click on them and go right to the fucking link. And there was Rainn Wilson was one who played that guy from The Office. Dwight, I think his name was. I didn't watch The Office. But fuck, some of the things that he had said, and there was some stuff about trips to Haiti and human trafficking and very weird comments, like disgusting comments. And I was just like, holy fuck. And it just very disturbing shit. They were implying that things were found. And they were trying to point people in the direction. I just remember thinking, holy fucking Christ, like a hole I really don't want to go down. Yeah. You can see boomer cars here in Germany. The QAnon stickers really since COVID. It's fucking lol. None of them knows where it's from. Interesting. Yeah. I don't. When did this? It started in 2016 though, didn't it? It started, I think, just before or during Trump's campaign, if I can recall correctly. I had thought for a while it was some kind of a psyop. It was a group of people who were involved with the Trump campaign that were leaking things online that they couldn't talk about in public. And it absolutely, I remember, people who know me will know that I was mentioning this to people back when it was happening, especially the whole Trump thing, because I remember back in 2016 that the media wasn't just a full-blown psyop against him where they're like, oh, he's never going to win. He doesn't even have anywhere close to the numbers. I remember watching or following some of the rallies and being like, this guy's got a lot of people there. Like, this is a huge following. And there was a cult following, for people that don't know, with the QAnon people, because they thought, they had insinuated, I believe, that they, along with other people, ex-military people, brought Trump in. And so Trump was a part of this inner circle, and he was going to expose, the billionaire pedophiles and the elite and Hillary Clinton, all these, they were all going to be exposed. And they had talked about how there were going to be arrests of them once he gets elected and all this shit. And so this had kind of fermented there, and it started kind of a grassroots movement, even among younger people online, to get him elected. And I remember thinking like, man, like this, because I always kind of thought he was a dink personally. And I was watching it all play out, and I was like, shit, this guy might fucking win, because of the turnouts alone. Like, and it wasn't hard to reason through, because you'd watch the turnouts for his rallies, and you'd watch Hillary's turnouts, and you'd be like, okay, he's pulling way more people here. Like, that's not always necessarily indicative that he's going to win, but turns out he did. So I was like, holy fuck. But anyway, yeah. 2017 for me, when I get into it, okay, all the Gitmo, all arrested, clones in place. Oh, fuck, man. Yeah, I followed it. I mean, I was on 4chan. It was probably like a week after it started getting posted. The person started posting that I saw it showed up on like conspiracy boards, because people picked up on it really quickly. I don't know what the first post was. It was something like insignificant, but then it started to pick up, and I followed pretty much every single post that they made, at least on 4chan. So I've got a lot of, one of the, actually it was them, whoever they were, that posted, because I knew Anderson Cooper was like always a bit of a dingus. I remember Alex Jones used to always like rant at him, and I remember he was like yelling at him through a bullhorn at like some fucking event, because he had done training initially as a CIA officer. And then he ended up turning around and becoming a journalist, but he's part of the Vanderbilt family, which are very wealthy. So he comes from money. And his mom was always this kind of wacky, eccentric woman. And I remember they posted a photo, and it was of him and his brother, who committed suicide, laying on his mother's bed with her when they were kids. And above her, I could probably pull the picture up, actually. I pulled it up before. And there was this strange scene above their head of this human effigy being burned. There it is right there. Oh, so you can't even find it, Google Images. Oh God, yeah, some of this I just know your meme. So this is real. I'm almost positive this is real. I'm pretty positive it is real. And So there he is as a kid. There's his brother. There's her mom. And there's a human effigy burning in the box. Or it's Christ laying in the box dead. But still, I mean, however you want to cut it, that was the alternate interpretation. But, I mean, it kind of looks like he's being burned, you know, either burned or cremated or something. But there's all this other weird imagery around. I just thought it was very weird. The whole thing was very weird. Anyway. Yeah. So, you know, could it be Jesus being cremated? I don't know. It's just a weird thing to have, and he's got the blood, right, from where they fucking nailed him in the cross and shit. But anyway. Yeah. That was wild. Yeah, man. No, it's anyway. It's one of those interesting things, you know, like very occultic. You can see all the fucking. Anyway, that's kind of some of the shit they brought to light, and I remember that was the stuff that I thought was very intriguing, right? And the whole meme was that there's a global elite that are kind of off the rocker a little bit. So, ritual sacrifice, however they want to interpret it. I mean, yeah. Burning of the effigy, burning of Christ, you know, well, supposedly his body was, you know, today is the day he rose from the dead. But anyway, that's some of the fun stuff you can find online. Anyway, so people talk about QAnon. It's like, again, it's like, because I've seen people online talk about it who didn't really read any of it initially. And, the whole Pizzagate thing, that's a whole other meme. But initially, it was, I don't know what was going on there. Whatever was going on there was definitely fucking interesting. It was not just horse shit. So, but anyway, I'll bring this up here. On to lighter topics. Big news. Here's a tentative timeline for the GOP oversight investigation into UAPs. This inquiry into UAPs has been the biggest bipartisan intergovernment investigation in U.S. history. We look forward to the upcoming investigations and want to give a special thanks to you, Mr. David Grush, for providing us into advice. He said, just keep fucking talking about it, you idiots. Just keep it going, right? I've invested all my money into the Soul Foundation and the Soul Foundation meme coin, which is going to blow to the fucking moon come May 12th, right? We just need pictures of Skinny Bob, and then all of these meme coins they've made, you know, will enrich all of them. So we've just got to get onto that before it happens. Yeah. Oh man, there's been a lot. Yeah, they had this whole Q clock and shit, and I don't know about that. I followed that for a little bit. Like, not that I'm like the guy to put like, I'm not a fucking, what was Robert Langdon, for Christ's sake? Like these mystery solvers. But I was like, you know, I'm not a complete idiot. I was like, guys, like, this doesn't, you're correlating something, like, this doesn't really line up. Like, some of it was interesting, some of it wasn't. So, Fish, what's up, dude? So anyway, April 30th, May 1st, roundtable of expert officials and members of Congress. So we got a skiff brief with UAP experts. I don't know who that's going to include. Hopefully not Stephen Greer. And then the week of May 12th is a full committee hearing on UAPs. So that should be very fucking interesting. Yeah. James Fox, you're behind this effort 110%. Jesus Christ, you know, I love James' work. Nothing against James, but just no more documentaries, please. No more books. No more biographies. Just give us the fucking classified information. So, you know, we can speak with a bit more conviction on this. Be like, oh, yeah, okay, they're here. Daddy government said it's okay now. They're here, yeah. Wilcox was heavy into that. I can imagine, yeah. I can imagine David got wrapped up in that. Moving along, yeah, fuck, yeah. Yeah, oh, fuck, oh, David. Oh, David. Yeah, David. Anyway, very exciting news. Well, yeah, good. I don't know. I mean, will any of these drill folks be testifying? These are the big boys here. Admiral Wilson, Jay Stratton, Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis, and those other two guys are both some. One that Bunny the Bomb's the Irish scientist. Bunny the Top is that other physicist, I believe. But I mean, that's really who we need. Well, we need some. It's a harsh reality with this that, you know, they're afraid they're going to get their fucking brains blown out trying to talk about this shit. But we need somebody who is a scientist that can speak hard science to, like, you know, chemist, biologist, physicist, meteorologist, material scientist, whoever the fuck, who has had hands on with these materials, these biologics, to be like, listen, it's real. Here's the data. Let's go. Okay, cool. Right. I just hope and I pray that it comes. So I think Mr. GALENTV has arrived. Just a moment's time. Oh, sir, there you are.
Oh, you found me.
I did find you. I just saw you came in. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, just came in just a moment ago.
Well, happy Easter. Happy 420 Easter.
Well, which holiday are we celebrating? There's like 5 things that happened today. This day.
420 and Easter.
Oh, there's 420. That's for the stoner bros.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Easter, and that's for the well, depending on which branch you go off onto, you know, for the as one might call the Christ cucks. That's for the I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't
Christ
say that.
cocks.
But,
oh my heavens.
I shouldn't say that. My apologies to anybody that may have been offended by that. This is the day where he is risen.
He is risen.
I never understood why it's he is risen instead of he has risen or he
risen.
was risen.
You don't question
But
it.
he is risen.
You just fucking question it.
If you have children, this would be the day of perhaps gifts and Easter bunnies and chocolate eggs.
Yes, my little niece was over and she was having a blast. And actually, Crendel TV's little guy was, or not Crendel TV. Is it? What? No, it's just Crendel. His person.
I think it's Dr. Crendel.
Dr. Crendel was also over. So yeah, with his little.
Is over.
So,
He brought a little boy over, little Crendel Jr.
Everybody's having children. Yes.
Yeah. For the edgelords out there on the internet, this is the birthday of Adolf Hitler.
Yes, Corey had mentioned that. Yeah, it is the birthday of Adolf Hitler. Yes.
And for the extreme edgelords and perhaps the incel community, this was the anniversary of the Columbine shooting.
Oh, Jesus, is it actually?
Yep. So, depending on which thing you want to celebrate today, you know, there's perhaps something for everybody.
Well, yeah, I'm going to generate a video here, yeah. Why is this, sorry, Titus. I thought it was banned for a second, but I've got the yellow filter on for my eyes. Titus, GALENTV here, another fellow philosopher. Hi there. I'm curious to ask as what your epistemic justification of knowledge is, and why anyone should ought to follow it. Oh my heavens, that's a good question. What's my justification?
I'm gonna need a check on epistemic.
Epistemology.
Reiterating to knowledge,
yes,
or to the degree of its validation.
Yes.
Oh, I see. In other words, what gives you the justification? What makes you qualified to talk about this stuff?
What's my epistemology, Titus, and why should people listen to it? Yeah, that's a good question, actually. Well,
that's it.
Yeah,
that's the whole. That's really the whole thing with Twitch is, why is it that one's opinion is valued more than others? And in this case, this is merely a collection of like-minded individuals to talk about the various schizo topics on this particular day.
That's probably it, Titus. Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't necessarily look at myself as someone who is like preaching to people or even there are other channels on here and other people maybe who do philosophy that are kind of like, you know, ask me a question. I'm a philosopher. I'll tell you how to live your life. You know, that's not really what I'm doing. It's more, I think we like to facilitate conversation on some of these topics and stuff. And I think GALENTV, you'll probably agree, but you know, we just like to ask questions about things as people with philosophical backgrounds. And
there's that one other guy we found that was a philosopher, but he was giving advice, so he's a faux philosopher.
Yes. Yeah.
He may have the credentials, but that's not what you do in the practice. All you do is ask questions.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think we like to think about things critically and advocate for critical thinking, right? And critically think about some of these topics, you know, which tend to have a bit of a schizo bend to them sometimes, like things in ufology, people who are into ufology or some of the more schizo sides of it. you know, we're just kind of following the data, following the trail. I followed the stories for a long time. So I guess I have a background, I have a knowledge of some of these more woo avenues, history of ufology and whatnot. So Shadows, thank you for the resub. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of my background and my knowledge, and like maybe what would justify why anyone should follow it or listen to it, I guess. Well, I think, you know, we'd like to think about things critically, but I too, I'm here mainly to have, this is like our dialectic. It's our conversation critically about these topics, I guess. And I want to hear what other people have to think about this stuff too. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this to necessarily try to teach anybody anything directly. I just want to hear what other people think about these kinds of things, and we can together think about it critically. So that's kind of like it's a conversation of sorts, yeah. Which is kind of that Socratic way of approaching things, really, right? That's what we like to think we're doing here, at least.
Well, you're kind of like the, for lack of a better phrase, the mayor of this town hall.
Yeah, I guess I have the ability to stop the stream. That's
you're
yeah.
You've got the power to shut off, turn on. You've called everybody here to say that we're having a meeting, but you've opened up the floor through the chat.
Yeah.
To voice their opinions. So it's kind of like a town hall gathering with you running the show here. Me, I'm just here to meme, really. I feel like I'd like to think I'm the embodiment of the casual viewer in the chat that just like wants to shitpost, but in person.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing here too, though. That's the problem sometimes.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, no, it's not a loaded question, man. It's a good question. It's a good question, honestly. I mean, that's you have to ask yourself that, and it's like, well, why would I ask myself this all the time. Not to interrupt you, GALENTV. Like when you're tuning into people, it's like, well, why am I listening to this person? Like, what am I doing here too? Like, is this because that's what I like about Twitch, where it's an interaction that we have, and like that's what got me interested in it. It's why like YouTube is less interesting, because you do technically interact, but not really directly in the moment. It's not a conversation, and I enjoy the conversation, I guess. So
I'm actually going to pin his question there. That's how much we respect that question.
Absolutely.
No bad at all.
Absolutely, man. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's my one act as a moderator that I think I've ever done ever.
No, it's a good question. Yeah. Yes, it absolutely is. Yeah. Yeah. And Warp, thanks, man. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, I have a fairly deep understanding. There are people here who have much deeper knowledge on topics in ufology as well that come in. Some of my friends that come in here, and some of that also moderate. And so I defer to them sometimes too, but specific incidents. But I have a pretty broad knowledge when it comes to the history of ufology and whatnot, and how that relates, I think, and, you know, maybe philosophy of it and whatnot. So yeah, he believes the Anunnaki and complete universe controlled by reptilian overlords, and Nibiru is going to kill us all. That's also TLDR.
I just read that, man. That it's like that, and then on Sunday sometimes we talk about birds, I guess.
Yeah, birds aren't real. Birds aren't real. Fuck birds. Yeah.
Well, there's some giant birds too, but I guess Golfing Probident hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah, I rely on the birds. Actually, I live off the birds. Chicken and the egg is really my diet. So, yes, but actually, I don't agree with reptilian overlords. But yes, Nibiru is going to kill us all. So. That's 100%. I saw the video you posted there, and I watched a bit of that.
That's the first mistake.
Yeah.
That's the first mistake. Disagree with them reptilian overlords. That's your first mistake there.
Yeah.
On you, Jim.
Yeah, on you, Jim. Yeah, Shadow's welcome too. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, fucking yeah. It's one of the memes. I have an interest in. Is this loading our fucking video, or did I not click enter? Hold on. Where did it go? Oh, it did load it actually. What? This content can't be shown for now. We're still. Oh my god.
What is that picture you have up there? Blue whales is like jet planes?
It's Sora.
What the hell is that? What was that image that you had generated there?
It might violate. I put he is risen, Jesus jacked out of his mind, Ronnie Coleman huge. What? How does that violate?
Jacked is probably the key. Jacked is probably the word you can't use in there.
Bodybuilder, Ronnie. Oh, Mr.
Change the word
Olympia.
jacked to like ripped.
Mr. Olympia style.
If it's not that, then it's Jesus. Then you can't have Jesus in there.
There's another prophet we probably can't do either.
100%
be off limits, I think, for Sora. Yeah.
I mean, Moses is kind of hard to draw, for the AI.
You're a funny guy. Yeah.
Funny guy.
You're a funny guy. Yeah. Fucking Christ. Here, it's loading right now. For he is risen, yes. But anyway, what we usually do is talk about today, Schizo Stories, but GALENTV were mentioning this, that it's a travesty that our favorite place to gather these stories has been shut down, essentially.
Man, I've got some information on this. Because I've been going through withdrawal from it.
Oh, no. Yeah. It's a shame. Yeah.
Well, there's little bits here I see here and there saying that, like, it might be back up. One was that it might be back up, like, last Thursday. The other one said it might be up, like, sometime this week. Another person said that it likely will be, like, a month it'll be down. The guy who owns it right now, somebody asked when it's going to come up, and he gave a later trademark as opposed to soon trademark.
Yeah.
Oh, he is risen.
He's risen. I want a video, though. Sorry, continue.
Well, I think the only thing he's missing from that is, like, just a raging erection. And then he is truly risen. Then he would truly be risen.
Should I ask that?
No, I don't think he could do that. I don't think he'd be able to. What is this video? A dragon there? There's some, like, badger hanging on to, like, I think there's a shark. Holy smokes. Anyway.
Yeah.
Depending on. So, a lot of the content that I would get, that I was doing for the last couple of weeks is I would just find a couple things, like, through the day of just interesting talking points that I thought might be, like, just kind of put the conversation forward. We still got a long list of green text, so we're not going to be going with that anytime soon.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But so the story goes, if you just to reiterate from it, is that long time ago there was a board on the website 4chan, and it was called Questions and Answers.
Right.
And I think what happened is that over time it devolved into just people, like, posting the soy jack meme.
Oh.
And there were other things. Some people would they were trying to just get all, like, the thread images to be, like, anime pictures. And then someone would try to ruin the sequence by putting, like, a Peppy in there. And I read a little bit about that. And what happened was the Questions and Answers board eventually got closed because of feuding, we'll say, with some of the moderators. So they broke off and they made their own website called soyjack.party. Sometimes also known as Shardy.
Oh, Jesus.
Sometimes known as the Party.
Oh,
but I think generally Shardy was one.
Dear God.
And so they kind of had, like, a little bit of a culture clash.
Yeah.
Like, we'll say internet clash. The story goes is that a guy hacked into the 4chan website and just found, like, everything. He found, like, the moderators, the moderator emails, the quote-unquote the Jannies, but more importantly, the source code of the website.
Yeah.
And I guess he just leaked, like, everything. Supposedly he was in there for a year. The claim is that he'd been in there for, like, a year.
They didn't know. Oh my! I heard that it happened. Yeah.
I guess it hadn't been updated since, like, 2017 or something.
Oh, Jesus.
So it just was. I guess it was trivial. So what they did is they went in, effectively doxed all the moderators, and then reopened the Questions and Answers board. At which point the website was then shut down, and has been shut down since. Because they got really slow last Monday. Because I remember I was on there and I was wondering why it was so slow, but so that's what happened with it. Now the refugees of the website are trying to go to different spots. Some people are going to the remains of 8chan.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
There's been some people that have gone to the 4chan subreddit just to see what's going on.
Oh, God. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, that's where I went just to see what was going on, on. And depending on which board you would go to, there are some people that seem to have landed very much in the board that rated them, or the website that rated them, over to the Shardy.
Really? So all some kind of a psyop maybe to try and take.
Well, there's some hot takes I'll get into just after I talk a little bit about this. So kind of depending on which board you're going to, like the ones I'd usually go to would be either the Magic the Gathering related things,
Yeah.
Sports boards, sometimes the paranormal or the fitness boards. I've been going a little bit to the fitness ones recently. The sports board, it seems like a lot of people have migrated to that. In other words, sports board doesn't even seem like it's missed a beat. Somebody actually uploaded the entire Minecraft movie. To a post.
Fuck.
which we'll get to in a moment, actually. I got something about that in a moment.
Interesting.
And so that was actually the supposed last recorded post on 4chan. Was somebody posted a picture of of one of the guys from the Minecraft movie saying, "What the fuck is going on?" To which it was replied, "Chicken jockey."
Chicken. Oh god. Fucking. Oh my god.
Which I guess is from the movie. I haven't seen the movie, but
well, it's from the game. It's from the game. Yeah, where there's a baby zombie that rides on a chicken. But which I'd actually never seen. Right? Yeah, I think it was one of the newer, more recent updates. But you can see a baby zombie riding on a chicken, and it's Chicken Jockey, and then they put it in the movie, and all the kids that have grown up with it started freaking out. So anyway, yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
There was a couple things I saw. I guess at some movie theaters, they've started giving out like rules and disclaimers for people, because I guess what happened when kids would go into the theater and they'd just be like throwing things everywhere.
I'm making a huge mess.
They had to like print off. There was one theater that printed off like a. I don't think you had to sign it, but just like a rules and etiquette form, just for like kids to follow.
Trash in fucking theaters. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess there would be like a lot of like young kids going to it and their parents wouldn't like be in the theater with them, so they'd just trash the place, right? Anyway, the paranormal board some refugees seem to have gone over to the Shardy.
Okay.
And that's generally where we're getting a lot of our stuff.
Holy fuck.
That's where we're getting a lot of our material.
Oh,
and
Jesus, yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. The sport. Well, I guess what happened was you may or may not know this, being a somewhat wrestling fan yourself. There was what was happening this weekend, WrestleMania.
Oh man, yeah. Ever since the Paul brothers got involved, I was like, go fuck yourself. Actually, that's been my attitude for a long time now. But
the wrestling brothers needed a place to go shitpost. And that was one of the only available spots.
Holy fuck. God damn it. HFX Pins, we went and they had 2 security guards in the movie. Holy fuck. Yeah, some of the TikToks, I'll look them up just a second here.
What?
Chicken Jockey.
How did that movie generate? Well, actually, maybe we might have an answer here, actually. But how did that movie generate like this? Like, has there ever been a movie that's stirred up this much trouble, I guess?
I don't know. A lot of kids have grown up with Minecraft, right? So when did it come out? It came out like 2009 or something. So you've got a lot of teenagers now have literally grown up with the game. So it's.
I suppose so. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't even a bad one. So I think it's one of those big. It's like a meme from their childhood, and same with Jack Black and Jason Momoa. I mean, they're both like very famous guys. Oh my god, I don't know. The ones I saw, were insane.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't see it. It looks like it might be just like kind of fun. It's not gonna be like a good movie, but it might be fun.
Yeah,
it might be a fun movie. That's all.
No, this isn't that bad. Crazy. I saw a couple of them. Like the kids absolutely wrecked the fucking theater. Like they were screaming, throwing popcorn everywhere. They've taken them offline probably because it was encouraging kids to fucking trash the theaters. But yeah, no, it looked okay. Like we were gonna go, but then we were tired and there's one there. Yeah, throwing fucking. Yeah.
That's the that's kind of like the oh geez.
Well, it's the this is, but it's interesting because this is the era for teenagers when they can put this online and then they can get famous off the reaction, or they can get views and clicks. Like when we were teenagers, this wasn't possible. Like there wasn't such a thing. So
we were just at like the very beginning
Well, 20
of,
years
when it was
ago,
possible.
well, yeah, I guess there was websites, but like 20 years ago, you put it like on E-Bombs World or some shit, right? Like,
But
yeah.
You might have been able to put it on YouTube, because YouTube was 2005. That's where, like, Star Wars Kid got famous and whatnot.
I guess maybe. Yeah, I mean, you're right. 20 years ago, yeah, it would have been the early stages. Yeah.
Now what it
Yeah.
is that it just is that you can kind of just like do it just off like one moment, whereas like you didn't really get rich with the other stuff. You see the really old like meme like viral videos, and like I don't think any of those guys are rich. In fact, their lives were not going very good actually after after it happened.
Yeah.
From what I had heard. Whereas now what happens is like it's kind of like encouraged. Well, you remember that movie Jackass? It's kind of like encouraged people to just like try to recreate Jackass at like any possible moment. There's actually one. I'd heard about this today. I didn't actually see it, but there was a. I guess there was a fan that went up to like an NBA player and just like while the NBA player was like just eating his like dinner with his family, and he went and he just shoved his phone while I was recording just into the guy's face. And I guess the video just like clips later to him just like being taken into an ambulance.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know like exactly what the cut, but I remember the punchline was that he shoves the phone into the face of a guy, and then it clips to, and then I guess it clips to him just like on the what's the thing that you put on the stretcher going into the ambulance? But that's what people are like willing to do at like a shot of like this like internet fame.
Well, yeah, this guy's got an actual chicken in the fucking movie theater. He's got a rooster on his fucking arm, like a real. Anyway, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, that makes sense.
He's
when
got
I
an
saw
actual
the thing
fucking chicken, yeah.
Yeah, I saw one post where a guy said like the usher at the movie theater hands me this form. He gives me a dirty look when he hears the clucking sounds coming from my backpack. Maybe that's where that came from.
That's funny. I mean, obviously it's not fun for the people cleaning it up, but yeah, I mean they'll fucking, it's whatever. It's just popcorn, for God's sakes. The kids aren't lighting on fire. There's worse things that you could be fucking doing, for Christ's sake. Could be lighting shit on fire, cutting down fucking trees. There's worse things you could be fucking doing. Yeah.
That's a good point, because it is like it is just popcorn at the end. Like if it's just if they're not breaking anything and they're just throwing like food everywhere, you can argue that's part of the experience. That's actually like the incentive to go to the theater is to have that experience.
It's true, and the theaters have been dead, man. They've been dead since COVID, so yeah.
Man, I haven't been in a movie theater since 2019.
Oh, well, a lot of people haven't fucking really been. I've only been to maybe three or four. Like we used to go. I'm not always a huge movie guy, but we go, I don't know, probably like 5-6 times a year, maybe like something like that. But yeah, in the last 5 years, I've gone and what we would have gone into a year. Like, so yeah, I don't know, probably a public theater, Titus. I think probably, yeah. I imagine it is, yeah.
It's been more that there just hasn't been like a movie that I feel like I want to like sit through that long.
Yeah, that's another.
Like go up and then pay money for it. Even though I do have this gift card that I was given actually back at the end of 2019 that maybe I used once. I don't even remember if I used it. Or perhaps, if you will, check this out. Maybe this is what's really happening with the Minecraft movie.
What?
I sent a picture to you.
Got a meme here. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Of course somebody did this.
Maybe this is what's causing everything. Maybe this is what's causing everything.
Holy fuck. It was all Notch. He was Notch was a fucking jam boy. So I imagine he probably was involved in, some conspiracies here and there.
Oh, Frank, just when you said, never mind. There's, I remember our guy, Harry Calvarium. There was a series of these videos that I remember that he used to like. I don't remember who showed him the first one, but it was him. Like a lot of it was just like him playing like Minecraft and him just kind of like, just like doing like some kind of clickbait thing where he sets up where he is like, oh, look at all this gear, and then he drops into like underground, falls in lava, loses it all and whatnot. And the guy would just like take his keyboard and just like hit his desk as hard as he could. You could see the keys just flying off his keyboard and whatnot. And then, like, his mom would come in, and then he'd be like, "Mom, why are you taking Notch's side?"
Oh my god.
So I mean, and that would have been like 2010 when that was going on. So
yeah,
the same thing that's happening here. It's just perhaps more accessible now.
Yeah, I don't. This is just fucking. I've never noticed anything like this. Including themes such as Saturn tied to Satan, Legion, Lilin, demonic possession, and Moloch, child, animal, and human sacrifice. Goats were also introduced in patch 1.17 and 1.18. 666 equals 18. Their spawning was raised up from all mountain biomes to just the snowy biomes at the peaks, which symbolizes the eye of the pyramid, or brother, because sometimes they climb up mountains. Holy fucking Christ.
Look at this one.
Christ.
Dear Santa. First trailer released November 7th, 2024. Released November 25th, 2024. Jack Black's character portrays Satan, befriends an 11-year-old boy, and makes a deal with him for his soul.
Fuck.
I don't know if that's real. That one might be just made up.
What's the significance here again? November 7th, released November 25th? What's the significance?
What's that? 11? I don't know what the significance, what the date is. I think it was more that Jack Black was dressed up as Satan and making friends with the other.
That is a real movie. Yeah, we've seen that movie. Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's a real movie. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what the significance of the date is.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Harold Bryan is a skinwalker. Interesting. I'm not even familiar with that creature there. That's the Warden. Some of these, like, I followed Minecraft way back. Oh my god. It was maybe an alpha. I don't remember. It was very early on that I first started playing it, because when they released it, me and a buddy of mine fell in love with the idea of it. And I remember, maybe it was in the early beta, but the guys, the Ogscast, were playing it on YouTube. They tried it out, and they had played World of Warcraft before, which is how I found their channel. And I remember thinking, oh, this is really cool. Like, you could just use multiplayer. You can go hang out with your friends and just build shit. And so we started playing it, and I still have it, actually. I was just playing it the other day for a little bit, but I'm not familiar. I haven't really played it in like probably 10 years, at least 10 years or more, because he passed away in 2015. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I forgot we had that server for a little bit. That we were going to have the Casual Cats Minecraft server, but I don't think that's been around for a while.
It was, I mean, I had fun playing it. I thought it was kind of cool. I was hoping when I came back to it that they would have expanded parts in the game a little bit more. Like, there'd be more weapons, there'd be more ores, there'd be more armors, there'd be more abilities, but it was just kind of like when Microsoft bought it, just kind of the same. Like, it's still very bare bones, and they rely on mods a lot, so.
Do you ever see that augmented reality Minecraft that Microsoft advertised, like, back in 2015 or something?
No.
Man, they put the game on the table.
Oh, that'd be fucking cool. Well, it's like real life Lego, man. Yeah.
It looked pretty cool. It was one person had the glasses, and they just like generated, like, they had like a flat table, and with the augmented reality, they generated like the world of the game on the table.
Yeah. And
you could see the other person that was playing the game, like on like I can't remember if it was a tablet or something, like running around in that world. It looked cool. There was a lot of hype behind that, but I don't know if anything ever came from that. Maybe it was just a just a display in that one thing, but they put the game on the table.
That's very interesting. Yeah. I mean, you could just, with 3D printing now, I guess you can kind of make your own Lego, which is kind of cool if you had one for like your kids, but yeah, that'd be kind of cool. You know, anyway, I know a lot of kids love it. Yeah. I mean, I used to love playing it too. Yeah.
It's a new thing. Just about everyone that I've talked to that has like young kids, sort of between like the ages 5 and 10, they're kind of like, well, I want to send my kid or I want to have my kid go outside or do some other hobby, but all they want to do is play that Minecraft.
I mean, there's worse games. You could be playing Grand Theft Auto. Like
They're
beating up, killing hookers.
That's like exactly it, right? Like,
holy fuck.
Worse yet, they could be playing Call of Duty.
Well, that's another one too. Yeah, shooting people and stuff. But yeah, there's far worse games that they could be on. I mean, it's a great creative game. They can play with their friends. You know, you can kind of express yourself. You can. Anyway, I thought it was cool. Yeah, that's a new army.
Did I ever tell you that story actually about Call of Duty? There was this is way back when I was playing League of Legends like regularly with friends. This would have been back in like 2012.
Yeah.
There was a gaming convention round in like the area where we live, or like the Tri-City area of the province. And so me and like 4 other buddies, we decided we're going to sign. We signed up for it and we went there. And we're wandering around because we drew like the fucking like worst time slot for our game. You know, we get there at like 9 a.m. Our game's not until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Holy fuck! And I only slept for like an hour that night before too. Holy fuck, that was so tough. But as we were walking around, I was walking around with a friend of mine, and he was just like, "Let's go over to the COD table, see what's going on there." We go walk over. I kid you not, the only people playing at that, the oldest kid could not have been more than 12. And he had like a group of like parents that were standing behind them and whatnot. And I remember there's this one rather large lady who was watching, whom I assume was her son, or could be a nephew or something. And she just starts yelling out, "He's got no gun skill."
He's got no gun skill.
It was at that point that I walked away.
You walked away. Fuck yeah. Well, you gotta watch those young kids. They can be pretty good though. Fuck it, fucking beat your ass.
Well, they have those like lightning reflexes. I guess that's when you peak at reflexes is around like 18.
Oh yeah.
That's why. Yeah. That's supposedly why, like, back when esports was like trying to take off, like a lot of players that started around like the age of like, we'll say like 22 or something, they pretty much were like forced out of the picture by like the time they turned 24 because they just couldn't keep up anymore. And I guess they measured that. They ran some tests with like I'm sure you're aware of how popular StarCraft was in South Korea.
Oh yes, yeah, it's literally a religion.
They were effectively like the pro StarCraft players were like on par with like the regular like athletes and pop stars.
Oh yeah,
with like their popularity. Anyway,
fucking
I guess
crazy.
they ran some like tests with some of the players to like measure like the reflex and whatnot. And I guess that's what they found is that a bunch of it was through like muscle memory, but the reflexes tend to decline like a little bit sort of in your early 20s.
Yeah.
They don't climb by like a whole lot, but they as opposed to like where we're at now, like they send us into like PUBG or something, you know, we don't have a chance. We don't have a chance. We're dead before we even realize we're dead. That's how bad our reflexes are now.
Oh, yeah, no, fuck it, man. Even back, I remember in my early 20s trying to do like Modern Warfare 2. When it came out, I was like, fuck, I get so frustrated. Like, I'd just be like, fuck, I would literally just throw the controller. I get so frustrated. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, I'm not good at this game. Like, why am I trying to be good at the game? And then I kind of got into a mode where like my favorite way to play those kind of games was to play it split screen at a friend's where I didn't have an account, where I could just go around and like fuck around and not worry about like ruining my account or something, like, because I would get in that headspace where I'm like, oh, I got a good KD, I keep my kill to death ratio good, right? I'm like, you know, I had to let myself just not give a fuck. Yeah.
Stats obsession. That could get very real very fast. It can get
very real. It's like World of Warcraft and like Arena with like arena rating and stuff, where it's like people won't want to associate with you if you lose a couple times with them, or they won't do any arenas with you if your rating's too low because it'll throw their rating out. And it's like that was the part of it that I hated.
I never got like, I always wanted to like see the stats, but I never felt like I ever got like super obsessed with the stats. And I'll tell you, like, to give you an example with COD, I'm pretty sure my KDA was like 0.2 or something in any of these like online shooter games. Holy fuck, I was bad. The only one I kind of played well was Gears of War, but anyway, that's what they're measuring. They're measuring like reflexes, and I guess what they found is they like scan like you know, like the player's brain and whatnot, and they found that I guess a bunch of it was through like muscle memory.
Yeah.
There was a time period where I was okay at StarCraft 2. I would never say that I was like genuinely like good at it, but I'd say that I was like okay at it. Back when it came out, and everyone was playing it. I could flex on people back when it came out. Not after like a bunch of people stopped playing it, but when it came out, oh boy, I was king. I was king at the time.
I've never really been good at any game. I don't think there's a game where I've like just been like good at the game. It's never like why I played games, I guess, but like I don't think there's like with WoW, like I was like just mediocre. Like, but I guess the reason I played games was to just have fun. Like I didn't really like give a shit to like go and fucking, be the best. Like I never trained to be the best, so that's probably why I never really got good at any of the games. And my interest was always just in like the exploration and shit. Like that's what I loved about it. Yeah.
I only ever really like tried to be good at the games if I had like a bunch of friends that were playing the games.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like if I like I never would like try to do any of the stuff on my own. The only one that I feel like I kind of tried to do that with would have been like Elden Ring. Yeah,
that was when we were all playing that. That was fun. Yeah, you want to be able to beat the bosses.
We were playing kind of together.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I got to a point where I just get Millennia beat me. Radon, that son of a bitch, beat me. And who else beat me? Oh shoot, there's like a few. Oh yeah, Mesmer, that son of a bitch, he also beat me.
He was hard.
I couldn't beat any. I couldn't get any of those guys. I think I beat it. Oh, and Ball. Remember that big dragon?
Oh yeah. He was.
I couldn't.
I did kill him. I mean, I was abusing. What I do in games usually is I find something broken, and I abuse it. So like I'll go and use bleed in Elden Ring with the daggers, and it happened to fit the role play I usually do anyway, which is like as a rogue kind of. So I did the dual bleed daggers, and it's just absolutely. I actually went through and beat the expansion I did beat the whole expansion essentially naked. I just had this like sun guys, the big sun. What the fuck's his name again? Hold on, just a second.
Did you use the mimic tier?
Yes, I did too. I absolutely used it.
Instead of Radon?
Yes. You know what? No, well, I did use it with Radon, but Radon killed it almost instantaneously. Actually, you know what? I don't think I did because the strat I used, I think the mimic tier actually made it more obnoxious because he would instantly reflex back to you, and it was almost better not to use it if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
I'd have to go and check.
You had it set up. That would have made sense.
It's this guy's armor, or was it? What the fuck's his name? Sunface. The Sunface, I think, is his name. Is that his name? Where the fuck is he? This guy's armor here. This guy, you can wear his armor, and it's literally just like a gold G-string. And so this is what I beat it with. It's actually caster gear, but it looks so fucking stupid. I was like, oh, and I wanted to be lightweight anyway. So that's what I beat the whole fucking expansion with, just wearing that. And the two dual Reduvias, was that. It was a fucking meme, but anyway, I did it.
You said lightweight, and I give you a buddy.
Lightweight, buddy. just bleed, buddy. Fucking broken ass. I broke the game, buddy. Anyway, I'll read through some of the commentary. I referred to my killing off world. Was your mantra when asked if I don't play God, would play Halo? Yeah, Halo was always my partner. She loved Halo. Yeah, she was more of a Halo player.
I could never get into Halo.
It was it was like one of those games that you would play multiplayer with friends. It was really fun. Like in the Xbox, you get 4 guys together. And you just sit and do like I love that.
Even with friends,
really?
I could never. I could get in. I could play COD with friends. There were a few games I played that I wasn't very good at that I played with friends. That one I just couldn't. Yeah. I don't know what it was with it. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's crazy how much money some pro players get these days, sponsors and so on. Oh yeah, man, it's like. Well, and like for me growing up, like I was never particularly good at World of Warcraft. I played Feral Druid and Rogue. And I used to like watching PvP though. Like I would never really, none of like, well, I guess you guys play, but like I didn't really have any other close friends that wanted to get really good. So I didn't really know anybody, and I kind of kept to myself a lot of the times, like in guilds. So I never had somebody to push arena with properly. But I would love watching people compete. Like I love watching Swifty, Athene, Soda Pop, and I was playing Feral a lot back then. And so I love Soda Pop because he was so good. Rectful. And so that would, like, I loved esports. That's a Wardringer mentioned how he found Twitch through StarCraft. I literally found Twitch through Justin TV, through World of Warcraft arena competitions. Yeah.
That's how I found it too. I found Justin TV through like, wasn't DreamHack, but it might have been the Team Liquid Star League, I think is the first thing I watched. That would have been like just as StarCraft 2. Might have even been like beta StarCraft 2, I can't remember. But that's how I got into it, is through the Team Liquid website. But that would have been, that was like the StarCraft 2 place for a little while. I don't know if they're still around anymore. Yeah, you found esports through Quake FPS. Oh fuck, man, yeah, that'd be another one back in the fucking day. Yeah, I Unreal Tournament too. That was a long time ago, but I remember that was a big one. Our guy Harry Calvaria was big in an Unreal Tournament. Yeah, I used to love that game. What was it? It was called. It was a Tech TV channel. What the fuck was it called again? They had GeForce. No, it wasn't GeForce. It was fuck. What was it called again? It was GeForce Tech TV. No, you're right. It's not. Yeah. It's not G. But I know what you're talking about. 2000s. I remember Attack of the Show used to be on it. Yeah, I remember the one. Kevin Pereira and Olivia Munn. I remember they used to they used to be on there. I remember Scandal, Attack of the Show, Kevin Pereira. Yeah, she had flashed, she had pulled her tit out on TV and they got in huge shit one time. I don't remember if we watched that or not. I can't recall. Or you think as a teenage person I might, but I don't. But oh yeah, I used to love Kevin. I thought he's funny as fuck. They all used to all play WoW together too. I forget what server they were on. G4, that was it. G4. Oh, G4 TV, right? Yeah. Yeah. We used to have it. G-Force is close. Whatever. G4 TV, yeah. It used to hype the shit out of games though, right? Like back in the day, like I used to get so excited before I never E3. Watched G4. No, really? Oh, we used to watch it. Me and my brother used to watch it all the time. I was like one of the few people that didn't watch it out of our little group of friends, we'll say. Adam Sessler, holy fucking Christ. I forgot that guy even existed till right now. Holy fuck. This is a blast of the past. Jesus. You had a troll mage, Coria. You're OP in vanilla. Wow, 1v1. You played vanilla GALENTV. I didn't play vanilla. I was on Burning Crusade is when I got convinced to play it finally, yeah. But yeah. Made it all the way to the knight rank as an arms warrior. God damn. Which was like the first officer. Well, I would have been in grade 8 that summer, and I broke my collarbone like at the very beginning of the summer. So I had nothing to do. And that was like the one thing I could do. Fuck, just play WoW. Yeah, that was like the one thing I could do was play WoW. I was playing. What would I have been playing, man? That would have been. Oh my god, we would have had a console probably. This is what 2004, 2005, 2020, 2005 is when people really started playing it, right? That's when it really got like it started to pick up. Because I remember in high school, that's what some of the guys were playing in like my grade. Like we know one of the guys, he played it. I'll mention his name, but he was playing. I remember some of the other guys were playing it too, and they wanted me to play. And I was like I didn't have my own computer. We just had a home computer. I had a console, so I was like, I have to get a fucking computer. And so I started playing it finally in 2007. I had a MacBook, and then I started fucking ran it like shit. But I started playing it then, and then Lich King came out. So I played it all through Burning Crusade. Essentially, I played a portion of it actually on my MacBook, and then I played Burning Crusade entirely on my MacBook. Yeah. But anyway. You want to hear just like quick like aside just on like playing games on a crap computer? Yeah. We had a friend, actually you know him. We play cards with him. Yeah. But he used to play World of Warcraft at like 5 frames a second.
Yes, he did.
And he was just like he couldn't get enough of it at 5 frames a second.
Yes.
And he still thought it was just fun. And we didn't know that until like 6 months after playing with him that he was playing at like 5 frames a second.
I knew that
So
because I knew he was playing on his mom's laptop that was from like 1996 or some shit. Like, it was ridiculous. You should have seen it. This is Krendel, right? You're talking about?
no, this is a different guy.
Oh, it's a different guy. Oh, well, Krendel did
Yeah.
that. Krendel used to play on his own. He was in here or not, but he used to play on his mom's computer, and he had all the settings turned down to the lowest setting possible. I remember he was in Ogremar as an orc,
Yeah.
and I remember he had an orc warlock, and I remember he was walking through, and like it was all fog. You couldn't see anything. Like you can maybe see 15 feet in front of him in a circle in the game, and it was just all fog. So he would just like walk into enemies and shit. And he leveled to 60 or 70 like that. It was through Burning Crusades when he played with me. So crazy shit.
Man, I remember those days of like going to Iron Forge, and it just if you want to go to the auction house, it just took 20 minutes to be able to go, just even get to the auction house because there were so many people there, and it just loaded so slowly. But also, I was playing on like a pretty like a parent's computer at that point too, right?
Yeah.
No, this is different. This is one of the other guys we play cards with.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
He wasn't there when we played on Friday.
Okay.
If that narrows it down for you.
Okay.
Anyway, there's one time when we were in grade 11 that we were in a music class, and we had a regular music teacher was away on maternity leave, and so we had a fill-in for it. We had somebody that was filling in, and I guess the guy actually had his PhD in music.
Oh.
And that guy had such high hopes for our class until he realized that I think after about like a month in, he realized that the course is really just like, because this was like just grade 11, like elective music, that it was a bird course, and then he just stopped giving a fuck. And what he did was he offered incentives to like go see like a music performance. So one of them was like his wife was playing at like one of the local theaters. And there was another one that was at a church in the area. So the one for the church, we had to bring back proof for it. And the proof that we had to bring back was like the pamphlet for it. So naturally, we go in, get the pamphlet, and then we go around, and then we go somewhere else. And one of the spots we went to was they had like a internet cafe or like a computer cafe. I don't know if you remember that from way back a long time ago. We went there. And you had to pay to like use the computer for an hour, so we did that. And I remember he was playing it, and it was like the first time he was seeing 60 frames per second. The game, he was just blown away.
Oh yeah, a whole different game.
Yeah,
Different game.
How like unreal it was.
Yeah, it's crazy. Some games are still there and hold up. But like Counter Strike, yeah, it's fucking crazy. PUBG, yeah. You never played a game online, Rabbit? Holy shit, man. That was a big thing for me back in the day when I moved over from playing, because we used to play in high school. We and some of my buddies, we used to play SOCOM. We used to play SOCOM, the Navy SEAL game. My buddy had this like fucking LAN party thing set up in his basement where he had like 2 PS2s, I think, or PS3s. No, PS2s it would have been. And hooked up, and he had 2 TVs, and he had the online adapter for his PlayStation. And we would go online and play SOCOM with people and chat with people, and we thought it was so cool. And it was my first time really playing online properly. And then World of Warcraft was the other really introduction with an RPG that like blew my mind. But yeah, my buds all gone about Counter-Strike. They still love it. For me, I wasn't into it. I went over to Sea of Thieves and got hooked. Oh, that was a sick game. It looked sick, yeah. Just my inner pirate. Yeah, look, I was so hyped for that, man, when they announced that a couple years ago. Like, it looked so cool. I never tried it, but yeah. I'm personally really picky when it comes to games. Like, I was back in the day too, like I did other things. Like I was a musician and like I spent a lot of my money on fucking gear and guitars and amps and pedals and shit. So I didn't like have like a good PC setup because I had a nice amp and a good guitar and a pedal board and shit. And so it wasn't until I actually got much older where I really got into, I was never really into PC gaming properly until, oh my God, I don't know, I was probably like 26 or 27. when I get a proper desktop. I just had a laptop that I would fuck around with games on, like while I was in bed or some shit. Like, so I was kind of a late PC bloomer, but I always loved consoles. I always played consoles. I always fucking done consoles, but yeah, that was my meme. But yeah, fuck. Anyway, games. So many games.
You must be hyped about Oblivion remake that's
Yeah.
supposedly gonna drop tomorrow.
I was just mentioning that earlier on. We were talking about games
it.
that are still here and hold up. I mean, that is supposedly what's going to happen. It's hard to believe they're going to drop it on a fucking Monday, but I guess it's Easter Monday, so maybe that they think that that's going to be a good idea. I don't know. It's going to sell like crazy. Yeah.
A shadow drop is what they're saying they're going to do with it.
It's just going to drop, and it's going to be there. Yeah. And I hope it's not like jank as fuck. I mean, the original one is jank as fuck anyway, so I mean, technically a remaster would kind of make sense that you play it and it's still janky, but yeah.
I didn't know this. I guess there was. I found something that actually had like. I guess these are patched, but there were lines, NPC dialogue in the game that I guess were not like cut properly, and it was the voice actors like redoing the lines, then saying like, "Hold on, let me do it again," and then they would do the line again, still in the same.
That
time.
was before.
I didn't know that.
There was. I think it was a patch or something before a patch came out, but yeah. You can still do it. Yeah. Fucking yeah. Bones. Yeah, it's gonna happen. Yeah. Hopefully tomorrow, man. Yeah, Titus, what do you guys think about today's gaming being a lot spoiled because of the information we got on the internet? I was just talking about that earlier, man, with Oblivion actually, because that was something that back in the day, like when Oblivion first came out, I remember me and my brother were really excited to play it because we played through Morrowind on our family computer. We loved it. We were teenagers. And I remember we had to go buy the official book because there wasn't really like a wiki for it online. And so Bethesda put out a book where you could like know what all the weapons are and the armors and shit, but it didn't really give you everything about the game. Like you still had to yourself go through and like read the quest dialogue. Same with WoW, like World of Warcraft early on. Like when the expansions came out, you're like, holy fuck, okay, what do I do? Like, you're like, aside from like Athene or somebody who was like data mining shit and, trying to get all the quest dialogue early, everyone else had to like just learn, like read the fucking quests. And now, and as time progressed in those games, you got like quest mods that came out, like you could preload them. And so you'd be just going through the steps and you wouldn't actually be engaged with the game. And yeah, I do think it's a problem personally, because there's like a sense of discovery that's lost. And sometimes when you get lost and you get frustrated, you get tempted to just go look online to how to solve the problem instead of actually problem solving yourself. And like I remember back in the day with like even when I was much younger playing games where you'd have to just figure it out, or you'd have to ask a friend, or a friend would come over and you'd be trying to figure out like a place in the game you were stuck. And you'd be like, oh my God, finally we figured it out. And it's like, yeah, that's what the developers, the devs were hoping you would do. Now they fucking design games where they know people are just going to go look online. So I think it's like the recent Monster Hunter, for instance, not to rant on this, that I was just playing Monster Hunter Wilds. The game is they do so much hand holding. It's ridiculous. It drives me insane where they held your hand at every single fucking turn because the investors in Capcom want to make sure they get as much retention as possible, right? Because they want people to get into the game so they buy the next one. If it's too hard, a lot of people just stop playing it, right? And that's so fucking unfortunate, man. I'll shut up after I say this, but the biggest thing that frustrates me about the game, if I can speak, frustrates me about Monster Hunter is that before in the game, what you would have is you'd have these online quests where all the end game stuff would be like the big monsters. They were tuned for 4 players online. So if you wanted to fight them by yourself, guess what? You got a long fucking fight ahead of you because that's tuned for 4 motherfuckers. So if you saw somebody online solo, like White Fatalist or a Cantor or something, you'd be like, oh my fucking God, wow, he did this in 15 minutes. Holy fuck, that took me 49 minutes to beat that fight, right? So you'd look forward to going online. You'd look forward to playing with your friends to be like, fuck yeah, boys, come on over. We're going to beat the shit out of all these monsters. Yeah, I need all this gear. Now they tune it for 1 player and the monsters scale up in damage, part damage, everything, with each player that joins. So having 4 players is actually a handicap if you're decent at the game, because if you're 1 player, you do more part damage, you do more damage generally, you do more wound damage now, which affects the stagger of the monster. It's just, the game's just easier with 1 player. So they've kind of fucked the incentive for people to go online together. Honestly, really. Like, and it frustrates the shit out of me. Anyway, shut up now, but man.
Do you suppose that there's like a weird social reason, if you can believe that, they can think of with that? And that's kind of one thing that you kind of start to notice with these like team-oriented or multiplayer games.
Yeah.
Is that you start to have what you call like the you can have like the feels bad moment by being like the weak link.
Yeah.
Now, my years of playing League of Legends and whatnot, this has been flaming as just like a. I didn't really flame other people, but like but you're exposed to it big time.
Yeah.
Especially when you played early on in that game.
Yeah.
But ideally, what it is the notion is that one person can effectively ruin the experience for like 3 other people.
Oh yeah.
So if you have a group of 4, so what would happen then is if it's tuned for like that is a gigantic snake.
It's a monster hunter. It's a monster right there. I'm a monster hunter. Fuck. Christ, bud. Yeah.
Well, you can see it's like skin just falling off too. It was just getting ready to molt, or it just molted.
Fuck.
Anyway, so
yeah.
I wonder if the reason for that is because that you have it as multiplayer is like a luxury, like that option is open for you. But the other part of it would be is that one is that suppose that you still want to play the content, but you just don't get along with other people, or we'll say you've been banned from playing other people, but you're not banned from playing the game, so you still retain the customer. The other part of it too would be is that suppose you only want to play with friends, and you're that poor fella that just doesn't have friends.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then guess what? Guess what you have to do?
You can't play your game.
No, guess what you have to
do? You just gotta learn to suck it up and just play nice, make small talk with other people.
You have to make friends. You have to make friends. That's the fun. Well, look, World of Warcraft, same thing, right? Like, if you want to go fucking raid, guess what you have to do? And you don't know anybody, you have to join a guild. You have to make friends with people in the guild. Yeah, it's like.
Listen, have you ever played an online game? We all know. We've all been around that one person when like just something goes slightly off and they lose their mind.
Oh yeah.
Something just goes slightly off.
Oh,
it's not optimal. It wasn't like the perfect finish. You still get it done, and they just lose their mind.
So many World of Warcraft games where I'd be in arena with people, and they would get. I mean, usually they get frustrated with me because when things go wrong, when I'm with somebody, I don't take it personally. I'm like, bro, listen, whatever. We lost 10 in a row. I'm like, just fuck it. Like, we're doing this. We're having fun. Like. But with the other way around, it's usually like they start calling me out for like a misplay and like how I'm bad. I just be like, go fuck yourself. Like, just go fuck yourself. Like I'd start calling them out for being a bitch. And then of course they just leave, right? And then it's like, and you know, that happens enough where you have people that don't want to actually work with you. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, man. Or the slightest inconvenience, they're off. And I'm like, hey, this is just mental illness. Like, what the fuck are you here for? Like, hey, pal. So I was just like, anyway, yeah. It's fine.
I wonder.
So sometimes it can suck, but yeah.
I wonder if that's why they put in like those options where like they scale it based on the number of people. That way, also, then you don't have to find 3 other people. That suppose you only find one friend that can play at that time. Then you can do it with like 2 people instead of doing it with 4.
Yeah, but I mean, you could still join a hub online. With Monster Hunter, it's a little bit different. Where like you could just join a hub and you could find some people and they would just hunt with you. They don't even care, right? So like before, it wasn't an inconvenience. It was an inconvenience before you could go online. Like with the 3DS, like the third game, you couldn't go online. So yeah, it'd be even more obnoxious. You had to physically find friends like in the area. And thankfully, we did have friends in the area we could play with. Like, if you didn't have local friends to play that game on the 3DS, you were doing it yourself. And there's tons of stories, which is kind of funny, of people who now are, you know, veterans of the game, who had to solo the whole fucking game. And like we're talking like the difficulty scaling we're talking about here If I would say to go through and beat a game like 3U by yourself online, a 4-player difficulty with like a Latreon and some of the endgame monsters, like Abyssal Lagiacrus, it's like if Mythic rating in WoW is at a 10, which it like maybe at some point it was, it's at a fucking 10. Like on a 3DS with a nub, if you soloed that whole fucking game, you're incredibly good at games. Because you have multiple different like barriers in your way. The first barrier to entry is the fucking 3DS itself. And unless you have the hands of a child, you're not going to be able to fucking hold that thing and play that properly. So that and so
you can hold the 3DS.
Well, I held it. It was not. We used to do like 12, 13, 14-hour hunts. We would go get fucking sauteed, right? And then we'd go do a 12, 13, 14-hour hunt with these 3DSs in my hands. And I'm a musician. I was a guitar player. My hands would cramp. The next day I couldn't even move my hand. It would be so fucking bad. Like,
I guess we were playing for like 13, 14 hours. That makes sense.
But that's what you would have to do. You'd have to play Monster Hunter when it first. You're gonna sit and play it for at least 8 hours. Like you have to put the time into the game. Some of those fights are like minimum. You'd be 40, 45 minutes probably, and that's to do it once. And to farm the gear, you're gonna need to do it like 10 times probably, or more. So like there you go. So it's anyway. People.
Do you suppose like another reason why like they try to like have these like multiplayer optionals because you get into a group and one person in the group just starts to ask like they just throw this question out there and they're just like, do you think that there's a 3,600 year cataclysm that's cyclical that comes on planet Earth? And just two guys immediately leave, and then you're in there and you say, go on.
So
you make one friend, but you alienate the other people, right?
Yeah, it might be it. Yeah, I was going to go about it again.
Well, I suspect it would be more just like somebody goes on and then they just say, like, you know what the other significance of 420 is? And then everybody goes, oh, okay, all right. And they go and they leave.
Oh, Jesus. Speaking of the cataclysm, I do have this. Aaron, I saw you post this video. This guy's I've seen this guy stuff before that he posts. It's just like, fuck it.
Lurking beyond the edge of our solar system, waiting for its inevitable return.
It's just like this AI video of like the history of Planet X and shit. He just did it a month ago, another one, yeah. And then everyone's got you go to the comments, man, they're like, no, that's not what it is. This doesn't mean any of this. This is my interpretation of it. This is actually it. This guy might look at this guy here. Santorini's last major eruption was 1600 BC. Susan might be paying attention, actually. There you go. Fucking Christ. Uh-oh. Yeah.
You got the YouTube account there. You reach out. Maybe you got a guest on the show.
Oh, God. Yeah, no. Fuck.
Was it Susan Donahue?
Susan Donahue. There's Susan's putting the puzzle together in her head. She's like, wait a second. There was some kind of a cataclysmic event. That was a volcano, but yeah. Titus was
Susan, you've got a good theory there. I see. Yeah. Could you tell me what your 1 rep max bench is before we talk further?
Yeah, brother. Yeah. How strong are you, brother? Yeah, better be 2 plates, brother. Was there a game for both of you liked really much but couldn't get into it, or it was way too hard? That's a good question. Was there a game that we liked but was too hard? Well, I mean, the early Dark Souls games I was not a fan of because some of my buddies were big into them, and we'd go over and I'd watch them play and I'd be like, whoa, that looks cool. It's like an RPG kind of, but it's weird and it's kind of linear and it's really frustrating. So I had tried to play through all of them and I never beat any of them because I got hung up on something and I was just like, man, I'm not going to sit here and learn this for 3 hours. Like, I'd just be done with it. So probably, but I beat Elden Ring. I loved Elden Ring. Yeah.
You probably could live through. Dark Souls did not feel as hard as Elden Ring was when I played Dark Souls 3 last November.
Not now, probably. No.
Elden Ring is definitely harder than the Dark Souls, or at least the boss fights anyway.
Yeah.
The areas might be a bit tougher, but you're gonna laugh when I say this because I was thinking about this, a game that just seemed like it was just too hard for whatever reason, but I actually liked playing a lot. You're gonna laugh at this. It was Overwatch.
Interesting. What was hard about it? What was hard during it?
Man, I just feel like I'm just like it's too much. I'm too old. I'm an old man. I'm too old to play
that shit now.
I'm too old. It's too fast.
What's the Overwatch girl? All the Gooners are out for. What the fuck's her name? She's
you're gonna have to be more specific than that.
There's one in particular that's goggles on. You see it literally everywhere.
That's probably Tracer then.
I don't know what their names are, but
there was actually a study. There was actually a study done.
Oh, you know, I should.
I guess when Blizzard first had their like Overwatch League, which I don't think they have anymore.
Yeah.
I guess somebody looked at like the traffic on the website Pornhub.
Oh, that's it.
And they found that the traffic actually went way down during those Overwatch leagues when those were airing.
That makes sense. All putting it all together now. Oh well, yeah, whatever. I mean, yeah, there you go.
Together.
There you go. Oh, that's that generation. It was Bulma was my generation. That's fucking old Bulma. Fucking.
Yeah. StarCraft 2 was up there, but that one more just got like it was. I feel like it was more because just everyone else stopped playing it.
Yeah.
And then, well, I kind of like it fell apart with me when they nerfed the Ghost back in Wings of Liberty. That was what did it for me because I fucking use the hell out of ghosts because they're cool. But I think most I made it up in 1-on-1 was like mid diamond. Now I like probably couldn't even crack Bronze League, if that. But I'm also really out of practice stuff too, so there's also that. I did play in a local tournament when the expansion for it came out. I didn't win a round, but I did take a game off everyone I played because they're best 2 out of 3s, and that did mean my way to victory in a couple of them.
Oh fuck! Well, there you go. But good old days, you know.
I mean, meme as in like meme strategies that I did no research in at all. Because I guess like build orders are like very important in that game, but that was just kind of like, I don't know, maybe this works, you know, But be another game that really most of the like first person shooters, I liked the idea of some of them, and I could just never. I was never good with like the controller anyway, with like point and click. I also got too impatient as well. Yeah.
Fuck.
Probably just on like another note, I was kind of thinking about streaming this too, but I don't think I'm going to. But I was kind of thinking about it. But probably the hardest game that took a while to play was probably XCOM. Both XCOM, the one from 2012 and then the one from 2017.
Oh yeah, the alien one. Yeah,
there's aliens come and fight the world. You do a turn-based strategy against them. It was so fun, but my god, it was especially the second one was just fucking frustrating at times, just because it just felt like there was no like room to breathe. It was just entirely like crisis management.
Interesting.
For it.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about streaming it and just calling it like Project Bluebeam preparation.
Yeah. Holy fucking Christ. But, you only friends are into sports games, Titus. Yeah. Okay, interesting.
Oh yeah, I played those a lot too, but I never played those online.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should talk about something schizo here. It's SKIZ0 Sunday. We should maybe go over.
Oh, how schizo do you want to get?
Oh, well, we usually just go right to 10. So I mean, that's
right.
Within reason, as long as it's something interesting, I guess, something engaging.
But,
yeah.
We'll check this out. Here, I sent you a picture.
Okay. Fucking Christ! Yeah, that's 10. That's definitely 10.
I told you. I told you.
Yeah. Holy fuck! Earth is a loosh factory. Holy fuck! Should we explain what loosh is, maybe, to people?
There's a definition at the bottom because I had to look up what that was too.
Yeah.
So loosh is referring to the emotional energy radiated by animals and humans in dire circumstances that entail intense, severe pain and suffering in the body and psyche.
Yeah.
So this is what this says here. I guess I'll read it. So reportedly, the light being told Monroe that when humans die, their energy is released and harvested by transdimensional beings who use it to extend their own lifespans. The claims is that the universe is a garden created by these beings as their food source. According to Monroe's story, animals are intentionally positioned on this planet to feed on plants and on each other, thereby releasing the life force of their victims so it can be harvested. In a predator-prey struggle, exceptional energy is produced in the combatants. The spilling of the blood in a fight-to-the-death conflict releases this intense energy, which the light beings call loosh. According to Monroe's informant, our creators, the cosmic energy farmers, quote-unquote, intentionally equipped animals with devices like fangs, claws, and super speed in order to prolong predator-prey combat and thereby produce more loosh. In other words, the greater the suffering, the more life force is spewed from our bodies, and the tastier the energy meal for our creators. And there you have it. Monroe, Castaneda, and many other sources all talk about the same basic concept of a garden or human farm where energy is trawled.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, that's Bob Monroe. So Bob Monroe ran the Monroe Institute. Bob Monroe was a psychologist. He is behind the Hemi-Sync tapes. God, was he born in 1915? Holy fuck, I didn't realize he's that old. They've been dead for a while. No, that's not him there. This is the Bob Monroe here. Yes, this is him here, yeah. Yeah, so he was involved with the remote viewing. I thought he was a licensed psychologist. What the fuck are they talking about here? Pretty sure he was. Anyway, he ran the Monroe Institute and the Stargate program that the CIA and the American intelligence and military were running. They used Bob and his institute to help train some other psychics like Joe McMoneagle. So Bob had these, he was probably one of the first people to have them, but in these isolation tanks, which like popularized by people like Joe Rogan more recently, like the last decade, where you go in and you essentially just they're these tanks and they're completely shut off from the outside world. They've got, like fresh air gets pumped into them, but they're dead quiet. Like they're completely silent. And you float on, essentially it's heavily salted water. So it's kind of like the Black Sea, like that much salt to where you can lay back and you just float. So you're essentially you feel like weightless in this completely dark tank. Some of them have lights, but usually you're completely just isolated. Hence isolation chamber tanks. And you would go in these tanks and these psychics would hone their abilities here. And you get yourself into like a deep meditation, and some people would have out-of-body experiences. Some people take hallucinogenics and go in there, which I can imagine would be fucking terrifying. But anyway, they do it. But that's Bob. So Bob did a lot of experiments with things like remote viewing, out-of-body experiences. So some of the remote viewers, just a quick connection because we'll get into this, I guess. Some of the remote viewers the CIA was training, like Joe McMoneagle, were very accurate, like scary accurate. And the technique he was using was kind of different from what some of the other guys were doing, which was this CRV or controlled remote viewing. Bob had these, or Joe McMoneagle had these straight up like out-of-body experiences. And so they wanted to understand that more. And Bob Monroe had done research on this. He had worked with people for, at that point, I guess, maybe like a decade or more that had supposedly been able to do this, psychics and whatnot. And they were doing experiments with consciousness. And it went from that. So it went from kind of looking into psychic phenomena, then it went into remote viewing and looking into psychic phenomena for the government military, the US military. And then from there, it went into doing even wackier things. Like I mentioned his name a couple times here before. And his name is Tom Campbell. He's a physicist who also was involved with this kind of woo stuff. And he has a simulation theory I've mentioned here a couple times in philosophy. This is a thought experiment about arena simulation. But Tom has kind of done a deep dive into this. And actually, I'm kind of with him. His whole archetype is something that I vibe with, although he definitely gets a little bit more out there with it than I do, which is saying something. And he had done like channelings even, like Bob and Tom Campbell back in the 80s were like channeling aliens and shit, supposedly. Like it went like that far out there, supposedly. Now, I mean, I humor those things. I read those stories. I mean, I'm like, I have no fucking idea if that's true or not. I think even there, Palm is pretty transparent as to like, well, you know, this is what I think was happening. He himself was doing it. So that's a background on them and their research into consciousness and altered states of consciousness. And they were doing altered states of, like, you know, maybe some substances. They were doing remote viewing. They were doing out-of-body experiences. They were doing channeling. They were doing hypnosis too, which is kind of like what Michael Newton, I've mentioned him a couple of times here before, was doing, where they would put people under into this altered state, this super conscious state, and they would ask them questions. So people would almost, the theory is that if you get someone deep enough, there's a sweet spot where you kind of shut off the avatar, the human, and the player has a clear communication through. And so if we're players using an avatar like in World of Warcraft, you'd essentially, I don't know, you go on TeamSpeak or something, like you cut off the avatar and just the player comes completely through unfiltered, where before it will be filtered through the avatar. And so then you would get information about what's on the other side of the game. Like what's the game, like what's reality like? This is the game here. What's reality like on the other side, like the afterlife? And so then they'd have conversations with people, and they did this shit too. And this is where some of this comes from, or these are conversations they've had with people where they've told them stuff like this. And that loosh is another dirty word in ufology too, where channelers, contactees have talked about this, and negative entities. Negative entities, they get into it where, like, you know, the architects of the simulation are about harvesting loosh. They can also harvest souls. It's the other thing. Like, they're creating this experience to kind of create more energy or create consciousness. And this is kind of a factory where they make consciousness, and then it graduates, and whoever the fuck knows what happens. But maybe they do something with consciousness. Who the fuck knows, right? But loosh is just a long TLDR. But anyway, loosh is a spiritual energy that archons feed on. Yeah, it's another these entities. Yeah. 1 minute 30 onwards, right? Yeah. David's talked about it too. But yeah, it's very interesting shit. Yeah, if you do a live channeling on stream in the woods or something, like a live channeling session, Rabbit, or
in the woods, you say?
In the woods, yeah. Where's it at, Aaron? You said plus 1 minute 30. He talks about it. Okay, and he goes on.
As much as I would like to do that. We've seen enough stories about in the woods around on this channel on these Sundays. Yeah. We might stay out in the woods.
People going missing and shit, you know, brother. Wouldn't that be a fucking meme, though? This next thing you know, you see both of us just disappear and the phone drops on the ground, and you just see some strange face. Where is it here? You see some strange face in the woods. This is where the fuck is it? Here's what you see this face on the fucking camera. Supposedly someone caught, this is probably fucking AI generated, but supposedly someone caught Sasquatch on a trail cam, but that's the last thing you see in my fucking phone. You just hear a bunch of screaming, then you hear a bunch of moaning, and you're confused. You're like, what the fuck's going on here? What the fuck's happening? You know? Yeah.
Yeah, just a couple fingers is the last freeze frame.
Holy fuck. Yeah, there's a couple fingers just sliding down the back of GALENTV's jeans, maybe. Holy fucking Christ. Uh-oh, that's not good. Just came coming to nowhere. For people that were here that time when we read that fucking ridiculous story, but probably a few people here know that because that was a while ago. Oh my fucking God. Brutal. Yeah. Fucking Christ. Yeah. You'd have a hard time finding Jim afterwards, but to find Galen, you just look and there's giant birds next to you. Maybe the birds can come save you, GALENTV.
Oh, there we go. There's the birds.
Yeah, there's golf. Yeah,
there's a bird discussion we've been missing.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'd be left alone with my devices with this gentleman. Probably wouldn't go over too well. Yeah. Ted Kaczynski, and they never really caught him. Yeah, he's definitely been in the mud. I would almost certainly bet this is AI generated. But I don't know. This just supposedly happened today. Somebody caught Sasquatch in a trail cam in Georgia. I don't trust any of this shit now. So, you know, you'd have to I'm not going to do the work to figure it out either. So we'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, I saw that earlier. I was going to bring that up, but yeah, very interesting shit. Yeah. Where's he talking about the loosh in it? Aaron, yeah, it's been talked about. It's been talked about before. I mean, I know about it because I've mentioned like Michael Newton, for instance, here, who Michael wasn't like Bob and all those guys and girls went pretty out there. And all of this is out there, right? I mean, because you're literally, this is like beyond reality. So my only thing with it is if for whatever reason we're able to bring back some kind of information from the other side, I mean, our brains just aren't going to be able to wrap around what exactly any of that is, right? I mean, we're limited to kind of this simulation to some degree, really, because we're using this brain to reason through this information, and it'd be like one of those things like explaining to a kid about maybe like the financial system, and they'd be like, "Wow, that's really broken," and then maybe you'd be like, "Yeah, fuck, it is actually, but we still participate in it, because we have to," and they're like, "Why would you do that?" And that's a really good fucking question, actually, but anyway, that's not the greatest analogy, but. You know what I'm getting at, that we might be misinterpreting elements of this. So if for whatever reason there's any truth to any of this, we may just not understand it. And because of that, because of our limited ability to understand these things, it might come across as negative when in actual fact, maybe it's not. That's something that Newton had actually said as well, where you have to be careful, like same with like God, like understanding like that which no greater thought can be conceived, like that entity is just so far beyond our comprehension by definition that trying to understand it or deluding yourself to think you have a personal relationship with that force, or you understand it because you read this book this guy wrote, it's like, I mean, you're just not. You're not going to be able to wrap your head around whatever that force is. Like, we are just so insignificant in comparison to that by definition. We can maybe try to reason with more immediate things, like what is this reality? But beyond that, things beyond it, I think we're going to struggle with. Because the filter here that we're using is just very primitive comparatively. So, yeah. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. Because it'd be interesting to listen to some David. So, yeah. On this. But have you heard of this before, GALENTV? You've heard of Loosh, haven't you?
I might have. Honestly, I just looked at the phrase, Earth is a Loosh factory. And then kind of read a little bit, and then I searched what is Loosh, and it had to do with Archons, and I said, all right, there we go, we got a talking point.
Yeah.
When you said Monroe Institute, though, that's when I was like, oh, okay, because I'd heard of this stuff. I would not have been able to go into detail that you did. But I had heard of some of these things before.
Yeah, it's been talked about. It's been passed around on the forums, and yeah.
It's kind of like the psychic vampires that we talked a little bit about last week.
Yeah, it's literally, well, I mentioned Buddy, who the shaman who Danny Jones had on his podcast recently, who when he'd used DMT, he ran into these higher dimensional entities, supposedly, and they looked at him and they said, "Oh, Bud, you got something on you." And he said, "What?" And they said, No, you got something. You got a parasite attached to you. And he said, "What the fuck?" And he said, "Yeah, you can't see it. We can." And he was wondering why he was such a bad mood for the previous month, and he didn't feel like himself, and he got into like a downward spiral, and it just kept getting worse. And this fucking guy, supposedly these entities that, this stuff to me is like, I have no idea. But anyway, the entities told him that there was some kind of a parasite that latched onto him, and that they feed on this kind of negative emotion, and they exist, and they're not particularly intelligent. You think of them like an actual parasite in our world. They're just these kind of like, he called it an interdimensional parasite, but something beyond our perception, but that does attach onto a part of us that we don't yet understand, was how I think he explained it, or they explained it to him. So there is this kind of like energetic body that we have that kind of interfaces with another level of reality we haven't yet understood, which, to me, I don't approach these things too ignorantly. I'm not a scientist, so although having data is obviously ideal to have conviction in things, I'm not ignorant to that kind of mystical experience because, brother, we're all been asking the questions here, right? Like, is this a fucking meme? Like, if one day it's fucking woo, next day it's not, right? Once somebody else figures it out. So maybe there's something to that. Anyway, they ended up getting rid of this parasite for him. They said, we'll remove it from you, but you got into this situation to begin with because of your mental state. They said he was saying how I don't know if he explained what happened, but he didn't usually have that kind of attitude, and that attitude and that negative energy spiraled him, and it spiraled him even further because supposedly these things got attracted to him after it got down to this level. And they said, listen, just be cognitive of your thoughts and your emotional state, because once you get down dirty enough, these things will crawl out of this interdimensional mud and they'll latch onto you. And good luck trying to get them off. So, you know, it's interesting. I've heard that before from other people, psychic people, who supposedly talked about this kind of stuff. And anyway, it's one of those memes. It's like it's woo until it's not. I don't fucking know. There's a lot we don't know. Maybe there's something to that. I think it's,
I linked something to you here that might further answer that, but just take a look at it before you show it on the stream. I don't know if that's something you want to get into.
Oh God. Well, yeah. Let's see the blood clots from COVID. Yeah. Well, yeah. Maybe we should stay on topic on this for a little bit longer. But yeah, that's another one.
It was linked with the as further proof of being a loosh factory.
Oh, it is.
Earth being a loosh. Yeah, it was linked. This was like further proof to look for it because so this was done via remote viewing. So on the left is like the guy remote viewing it. I guess that was in 2017, and then on the right was from 2022. I guess. Oh,
that's Ed Reardon. I know of Ed. I follow Ed on YouTube. Yeah, he works for the crypto remote viewing guys. Yeah, future forecasting group. Yeah. He did this. This gets real. Twitch is gonna love this talk, but fuck Twitch anyway. Ed did a couple sessions that preceded the whole virus that lined up pretty early. Now, I mean, it's all up into interpretation, the data. I would say personally, after reading through some of them, that he almost hit the nail on the head with it. It gets a little bit, it gets pretty disturbing. So yeah, people who took hard drugs, Titus, that happens to them. Yeah, well, it makes sense, right? Because you get into this really dark place, and people who have problems with substance abuse in general, with anything, right? It's, it can happen. Maybe I don't know, right? This is to do with this virus causing these clots. So Ed had saw, I don't know if that's completely correct, the title there. Maybe it is. Disease X was used, usually that was something that happened in later in the 2020s, but he did do a remote viewing like this where he had saw the virus and its effects in the body. And it worried people. I thought it was in 2019 he did it, like in the summer of 2019 or something before this happened. There was a session that they did where they foresaw something like this happening, but I believe this was a bioweapon that they saw too. And then there's another session, I've talked about this before too, that John Pavanko did during it in 2020, where they saw the intention behind it and that there was a group that had an intention. So the leak wasn't accidental in John's session. I mean, this is remote viewing, so and I think any of these guys, they're all pretty grounded, rational guys. They know what they're dealing with. They know that, who the fuck really knows, but it's extremely interesting. And question I've asked too, which is a very disturbing question, but yeah, this is the clots from this is still happening. It's from the virus and the therapies as well. We'll call them the therapies for Twitch to be just neutral on it, but the therapies and the virus itself, that's what the COVID, that's what this strain, that's what made it deadly. That's what it's it's modified, but there's another strain of it originally from the bats, and that's what it would do. It would cause blood clots, and so that's literally what it's doing. The spike proteins, and it's a rise in neurological issues, aneurysms, strokes, heart attacks, all that shit. It's to do with the virus itself and the spike protein and the effects it has in the human body. And it's something that isn't really well understood or studied, but there's a lot of people that were sounding the alarm back in the early 2020s about this. But yeah, Ed did. I thought that was, but anyway, he did have a session that preceded this. I don't know if it's particularly due to the clots, but I knew it was to do with the virus. So it's to do with loosh. I don't think they're saying that here.
So that was the claim was that this was another remote viewing session that was that had to do with loosh, and that because if we looked at what the definition of loosh was, again, how this was defined is that it was emotional energy radiated by animals and humans in dire circumstances that entail intense severe pain and suffering in the body and the psyche.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's okay. So that's it's so they did this to facilitate that kind of yeah. John had
that's the claim.
Yeah, that wouldn't be necessarily surprising in that the group that John had. I don't want to speak for the guy. He didn't. I've tried to get a hold of him. He doesn't want to talk to me, I guess. So, which is why I mentioned that I was talking with him, and not Ed here, but John's another remote viewer who did the COVID viewing, and they found that it was some global elite, whoever you want to call them, cabal, Western elite, that were involved with the virus as a false flag kind of attack, kind of event. And they were doing it because they knew of some event happening in the future that had to do with something in our solar system causing a catastrophe. So that's the long and the short of his viewing. Now, who knows how right any of that is? All we know is that there is a prediction that was made back in 2010 by Project Camelot from a supposed insider. He's a Freemason, ex-military financial district guy in London, insider, who sat in on a meeting where some global elite were talking about this event and that they wanted China to catch a cold and would be a part of a broader conspiracy where they would try and create a global conflict. They had Israel and Iran as one hotspot they could push, and then they had Russia was the other bear they could poke. And they wanted to create a pandemic, and then after the pandemic, they wanted to try and create a world war. And it was all to try and corral the public, bring the numbers down, depopulation, institute controls like lockdowns, acclimate the public to these controls, ahead of, again, supposedly from this guy, some kind of unstoppable natural event that they had information on in the future. And they were doing this to get ahead of it, to corral the public ahead of this, and drop the numbers, condition them, corral them, etc. And so that was Project Camelot's video as well. But that was in 2010. And then this happened. Ed did that's actually in 2017. That's concerning, but he definitely did one about a year before too. So, and then John did his, which I just mentioned. So anyway, fun stuff. But yeah, is it to do with loose? I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe there's just entities on the other side that did this. I don't fucking know.
Was that schizo enough for you?
Oh, that's level 10, all right. I might be up to 11 actually. Yeah, that's the top tier. When you get into like interdimensional shit, that's like there's no ground to stand on. Like, and I've read that too, Aaron. Yeah, okay, that's no worries. Yeah, I'll just read that out. Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint. The whole thing talks about how the Archons and the way they interact with each other in reality. It's all loose related, really. It's 25 minutes on, so not massive, but maybe not while chatting with Galen. Yeah, we can check it out tomorrow too, or even later on. We can go through bits of it. Yeah, I'm familiar with David's meme. For people that don't know David Icke, he's talked about. He got onto the Archons. Ooh, I mean, effectively, I think they are the reptilians. Aaron, is it the same meme? Like they're these interdimensional creatures that.
I think they're two different things.
Are they two different things? I know,
like he talks about, people know him as a reptilians guy, but I think he was big on I think he's more like bigger on the Archons, and that the reptilians are more just like maybe servants of the Archon, because I think his thing is mostly the Archons. Yeah,
I mean it's. I mean, David references a lot of kind of like woo too. I talk about we're all the time here. I don't know with some of David's stuff. Like, I think David was on the money with the global elite personally, where he was on top of the Bilderberg group, and he talked about the Club of Rome back in the 70s, and talks about the WEF now, and he talks about kind of the enemy number one are these hyper elites, these hyper wealthy people who've been stirring up shit forever, since the dawn of time, really. I mean, and that's really the enemy of the people, and they're kind of in the shadows, and they're away from the limelight. And like I would point to his understanding of Mesopotamian history is where I got weary of him when it came to like bloodlines, where some people think they can trace some blue bloods of Europe back to Mesopotamia. It's difficult, but you can kind of, if you wanted to get back there, where this rule by blood, right? What gave them the right to rule? Like, why was their blood sacred? You know, because it's the blood of the gods, and it's complicated. That's not always the instance, but more generally, you know, it was that the blood came from the gods, and he goes back to the Anunnaki. He goes back to, you know, Sumerian civilizations and offshoots from them. There are those little statue figurines of some of the Anunnaki, which kind of look reptilian, but generally speaking, all the depictions, the iconography of them throughout Mesopotamia, they're human. And, you know, it says right in the creation story, right? The Enuma Elish, and there's the Enuma Anu and Lil's the other one, that they made us in their image. So they fashioned us from mud and clay, but they made us in their image literally. So we were them. And so the idea is that they looked like us, at least in the mythology, right? If you take it literally, then they would literally kind of look like us. And David did some finagling to get the reptilians in there a little bit. There's some other interpretations maybe that maybe like they didn't want to show their true form to people at times. Their slave race they made, so they would obfuscate themselves. And that kind of gets, if you look through Mediterranean history, which I think is probably just a fucking offshoot of Mesopotamian history to some degree, the whole god pantheon, they do the same thing, right? Where Zeus would appear as like a bird or a bull, and then he would rape people, which is wonderful, as the animal. But anyway, and I think he kind of got a little bit, he made it fit Credo Mutswa's. He made it fit Credo Mutswa's meme about this reptilian group that used to abduct them. So the other thing Dake, I think, was big on was being unfathomably based, yeah. The Phoenician line covered by Rise TV. Okay, yeah. I'm not super familiar with that, Aaron. I know Rise TV though, but yeah, this group of people who've kind of come along and, you know, anyway, then David has all the stories of shapeshifters, right? That from people he's met. And that's another, you know, kind of, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's almost like a cryptid phenomena, but that people encounter these individuals who shapeshift, that they are one person 1 minute, they're another person the next. Sometimes they're one person 1 minute, then they're like a reptile looking person the next. And there's been some famous people who have come out and stated that they've seen people shapeshift. I mean, probably the most famous one I know of is Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins, who I think probably talked to David Icke, and there's other people who've talked to him that have told him this, and they could be separate phenomena. I mean, it's very possible we could have aliens down here living among us to some degree, and they just obfuscate themselves from us, literally, because it'd be problematic if they're walking around. So maybe that could be it. It doesn't necessarily mean that all royalty are, but then you get into satanic rituals, and you know, you get like the Rothschild family and European elite that do all of this. They engage in pagan rituals. You know, look at the Freemasons. There's a lot of kind of pagan, Mesopotamian, kind of ritualistic shit in there, and some of it's perceived by Christians or other fundamentally religious people as being satanic in nature, because originally some of it had to do with child sacrifice or just human sacrifice in general. So, like blood magic and all that shit. So, didn't Hitler also claim Aryan blood or something similar, or an Ubermensch? Yeah.
I think that was exactly what he claimed, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. So the Ubermensch, or what was GALENTV? What was Nietzsche's Superman he called? Do you remember what that was called? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, not off the top of my head.
You read Nietzsche. So Nietzsche had this idea of this like Superman, or this group of super people. And Hitler was influenced by him, as were many people back then. And there was this book back in the late 1800s. It was a fictional book, but it was kind of based on some real history, maybe. That there was this fictional group of people called, it was the Aryans. The book is called like the Aryans or something, the Aryan race. You can look it up. But Hitler was inspired by that book, and he claimed that the Nazis descended from a group of people that were like this, and he used this fictional name, the Aryans, to describe them. But it is actually based in, this is where you have to be real careful, because you get a bunch of dinguses who will call me like a fucking, you know, Nazi or whatever, but there is a group of people in the area that it may have been based upon, because there's a lot of stories from around the globe of another group of people, tall, fair-haired people that were the gods, that influenced ancient cultures, and Hitler was looking for them. They were looking for them. They were looking for these religious artifacts like the Ark of the Covenant. There was the Spear of Destiny. They were looking for these religious artifacts because they thought that this was evidence of this ancient advanced group of people that they specifically were descended from. And, you know, yeah, canceled it.
It's over. This is like the fifth last episode of the Jim Ross show.
Holy fuck, right. So, like, obviously, he was a fucking idiot, right? And a disgusting human being that tried to ethnically cleanse all the Jewish people, which was just you know, obviously everyone here knows this, but just for the TLDR, for any VOD or anyone that clicks on this doesn't know who the fuck I am. That's I don't agree with any of his philosophies, right? But there is something to that idea that there was this lost group of people that influenced other ancient cultures. He wasn't the only one. There's tons of other influential people from around that time period that were obsessed with finding these people. Actually, so he was through the First World War and the Second World War. So back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, this wasn't uncommon that in the States, it was known that there was a group of people that preceded the Native Americans that they'd found in Native American burial mounds who fit this description, who happened to have like red hair, fair hair, very tall, and they called them the Giants. And like Abraham Lincoln had mentioned them. They were digging so many of them up that it was just de facto kind of meme that, okay, well, there was another group of people here. And at the same time, there was an effort to try and strip more land away from the native tribes, right? The native peoples. And so there were some people that were using this as a way to belittle them and say, well, they're all savages, right? They didn't build anything. They had nothing to do with even their own culture. Look, the Giants did all this for them. And so in hindsight, what happened now, academics go back and they say, oh, well, they fabricated the giant body stories to, you know, take away, you know, the Native American accomplishments so we could, you know, just kind of upend more of their settlements and shit. And that's not completely incorrect, but they didn't make up the fucking stories. The stories are real, and they found the fucking bodies. That's the other fucking problem. Anyway, we've been over this. It's a long-standing meme here. Yeah, oh yeah, man, yeah, oh yeah, trust me, it's a fucking meme. Look up I always butcher the name. Was it Larkin told me? Someone in here who's from Ireland told me how to pronounce it. I always fuck it up. But Tuatha Dé Danann, or Tuatha Dé Danann, just look up that. My Celtic ancestors are turning in the grave. I can't speak fucking... Snack, thanks for the Prime sub, man. Fuck, look up them, yeah. Gaelic? No, is it Gaelic? Maybe it is. I don't fucking know. Yeah. You just sat down. Holy shit, brother. Yeah. There's a lot of shit here, brother. Yeah. Tuatha Dé Danann. I knew it was you. Tuatha Dé Danann. Yeah. So that's who. There's a name there. Yeah. So anyway, you can check that out, man. Go look them up. Look up the giant bodies. This is a fairly new thing that I've gone on to in the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I thought it was just fucking ridiculous when I first heard it. And then I realized after looking through all of the newspaper clippings, oh my God, dozens of them, I said, oh, what the fuck? Because, I mean, you know, a lot of people are out, like Graham Hancock and others, that are making arguments that there was this lost civilization. Whether it was a civilization, we don't know. But, like, where are they? Where the fuck are they, right? Like, they were 12,000 years ago, whatever the fuck, where are they? Well... here they may lie, right? Some of them, potentially, that it would be a form of evidence if that was who was involved with them. And so, where are the fucking bodies now? And that's the next step in that mystery. But anyway, you can go back through and you can check that out, man. And it's got a long history. It goes back through, and there's been a lot of fucked up people that have been influenced by it. So, long TLDR. So, anyway, yeah. Christianity swallowed many pages, beliefs, and repurposed them as its own, similar to the way Rome consumed cultures. So that's why there is so many pagan ritual similarities in modern Christians' cultures. Yes, Easter eggs are a pagan culture originally, like the Christmas tree. Ishtar being the pagan woman who turned a bird into a rabbit, blah, blah, blah. So lots of natural woo in the zeitgeist. Oh yeah, man, there's tons of it. Where I've got Inanna Ishtar right here. Where the fuck is she? She's on a fucking lion. Look. There. Right there. The Museum of Chicago right now. I believe. Right there. There she is on a lion. That's 4,000 years old, 4,500 years old. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Tuatha Dé Danann. Tuatha Dé Danann. Oh, that's good. I got it there now, man. Yeah. Tuatha Dé Danann. Yeah. Right. Anyway, yeah, another god there's tons of them. There's tons of these god pantheons, and those ones are the ones in Europe are just interesting because they share similarities. They're usually, not always, described as being like these tall, fair-haired people, whether it's the kind of Western pagan, like kind of Celtic pantheon, or the Nordic pantheon, or the Mediterranean pantheon, or the Egyptian pantheon is a little bit different. Although there's connections between Seth, and Marduk, maybe, out of Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia is the eastern one. So, but you know, the antithesis to this, or antithesis, would be, well, but we're people, right? People that made us, would dominate us, are bigger people. So that would be the argument against it. I mean, if you're gonna try to go, I don't like the Ancient Aliens description of it all the time. Like the George, you're like, oh, they're just aliens. I'm like, brother, we don't know what the fuck. We haven't. But there's some interesting.
But they could be.
Well, hypothetically, yeah. Well, actually, quite literally, they were in the instance in the Anunnaki, that the Mesopotamians, the Sumerians, who first mentioned them, literally believed they descended down from some other place, which it's translated and interpreted as heaven, or high place, or however you want to look at it. But they literally, even angels, they're literally extraterrestrial. They're not from Earth, realm, or wherever, but they were literally from some heavenly realm, and that's it there. And actually, nobody knows, and I've asked them, nobody really knows what that winged disc means still, which is very interesting, because there's a lot lost. I mean, this is very old. When you go back a couple thousand years, man, even go to Plato, we've lost, there's probably other works of Plato's. The Critias, which mentions Atlantis, is lost, half of it, or we have no idea, but it's we don't have the complete story. And that's only 2,400 years ago. You go back 5,000 years, good fucking luck. Like, so, anyway, it's very interesting.
So you're saying the ancient astronaut theory is possible. That's all I needed to know.
Yeah. If you take it all literally, I mean, that's the difference, where like academics of the scholars in that area would look at those stories and take them all mythologically, right? And like art historians, they would be like, oh yeah, Anu, right? You know, like, he's supreme deity, you know, and there's other parallels. And they're like, oh, they don't look at it. They're not trying to like connect the dots on any of it. Now, should they? Well, I don't know.
Well, yeah. Maybe they should connect the dots there, Jim Russell.
David, yeah. Yeah, my ancestors Scottish, canny famous ones. In fact, one of them fought alongside Robert the Bruce. Oh, brother. Can you go back to, what's his name again? The giant guy. Oh my fuck, what's his name? I just forgot his name.
Andre the Giant?
No, not Andre the Giant. This goes back to another giant in stories. What the fuck's his name?
Cho'Gath?
No. Nice. What the fuck's his name? Giant legend UK. What's his name again? Brutus of Troy is mentioned. Oh, I mentioned him here before, for fuck's sakes. Gog Magog. Got it. Goliath. No, Gog Magog's the name. This is a story. It was, what's his name again? Buddy back in the Middle Ages had mentioned it. Maybe from an earlier story, we don't know. But this is it here. But again, you know, who knows? This is the problem. When you go back through these stories, this is like kind of scholarly stuff. It's like when you go back through biblical stories too. Like we'll use the Exodus, for instance, right? Because I'm somewhat acquainted with the Exodus, where I went back through it and I wanted to get an idea of like, okay, well, how cemented in history is this really? Is this actually cemented in history? What evidence do we have for it? Other than pages somebody wrote in, and they keep referencing back to older stories. And it goes back to some guy being like, yeah, well, fuck, it happened. And you're like, this is what this is all built on. It's like, this guy just said it happened, and then that's what we're basing this on. Like, but Gog Magog's one of these stories. Geoffrey of Menmos, Historia Regum Britanniae, the history of kings of Britain, 12th century. He was a giant inhabitant of Cornwall who was thrown off a cliff during a wrestling match with Corneas, a legendary namesake of Cornwall and companion of Brutus of Troy.
You've got the overlay still up.
Oh, sorry, you guys can't see it. Thank you. Thank you for. Yeah, well, you can see. Oh, I took myself away. That might be helpful in the end, actually. There we go. Yes. So this is him here. But supposedly the story goes in the UK that once upon a time, according, I believe, to the Celtic peoples, or pagans there was a race of giants that lived on the island. And they built Stonehenge. They built stone circles. They built a bunch of ancient megalithic structures. And at one point, the leader of them was this guy named Gog and Magog. And now this is where I don't know where the fuck they would get this from, because like Troy, oh my God, you're going back a long time there. Like, fuck, that's like 3,000 years ago or some shit. But this Brutus of Troy, they ventured to this place, which I could see them doing. I mean, so they would have been down in the kind of Mediterranean area. This area of the UK was known as Albion. I believe it was known as Albion around the area back then. Not many people had ventured that far west, but because of the White Cliffs of Dover. So that's why people had called it that. And so they wanted an expedition to this island. And there were rumors, supposedly in the story, that this race of giants lived on the island. And there's stories in this in ancient history. So one of the things that I found looking into this that kind of surprised me was that there are the meme in ancient history was that there were this race of giants that lived on the planet that people would periodically run into. Now, when I was like younger and I ran into these kinds of stories and whatnot, I hear giants and I think of Jack and the Beanstalk. I'm like, oh, well, they were all just like fucking stupid, right? I just kind of, it's kind of elitist attitude you have. You hear sometimes from some of these people in academia where like, yeah, but they're all kind of stupid. But, I believe Plato mentions this as well, where there's this group of people where the giants hang out. This area, where this group of people who are giants live. And there are other mentions of this from many other different ancient authors who mentioned encounters with these people periodically, and they're in these weird places. Anyway, Albion was supposedly a place. So there's a couple different reference points, not just from Geoffrey of Monmouth, but there's others as well who point towards this area, like Celtic stories of giant people living there. And essentially what happened is we, like the Neanderthals and Homo florentes and the Hobbit people, fucking killed them all. Which, I mean, shouldn't really surprise us because we killed everybody else around us. So, the bureau guy mentions it, yeah. In Ireland, we have stories about the Fomori. They're a giant race in one of the invasion sagas, got run off by Tuatha Dé Danann, no less. Oh, did they actually? Okay, Larkin, interesting. Yeah, they're fucking everywhere. Every culture has stories of these people. I mean, I mentioned this here before, and again, some may put down these ideas, but I mean, through South America, man, you can't deny there were a lot of weird encounters those early explorers supposedly had, right? I mean, these guys are like living on rations and have been away for multiple years. Like, they may have scribbled this down on a sheet of paper, and you're like, well, fuck, were they drunk? I don't know. But, when they landed in Easter Island, some of the early explorers ran into these people, and they were, we're talking like 7-8 feet tall, right? Same in North America, though. Some of the early explorers in the East Coast, some of the native peoples were this tall. And they were descended from these other people. And no fucking idea who they were. But then they were finding their bodies. And anyway, this is in its infancy still, because we don't really have quality evidence of any of this. But there's definitely a lot of very interesting lore around it. And it isn't until you start to kind of collect it and read through Hugh Newman. Hugh Newman, actually, he is on Ancient Aliens, but as opposed to some of the guys, he's pretty grounded in his research. And him and his other guys, other buddy, I forget what his name is, Jim Vera, are actually really good, meticulous researchers. And they did a great collection of a lot of these stories, and I've referenced some of those stories from their works. I still have to buy their book. I will buy your book, guys. But they're a good resource, actually, for these stories and the collection of these stories. And they did a book recently, a couple of years ago, I guess, on the bodies in the U.S., which I keep meaning to get, which is a collection of all of these clippings of the newspapers. And very accredited people at the time. We had anthropologists and archaeologists and doctors come and look at the bodies. 30, 40, 60, 70, 80 bodies, all 7.5 to 8 feet tall, all the same kind of features, right? And I find that hard to believe. I mentioned here I talked to an anthropologist at one of these universities, like in Pennsylvania, and she thought the whole thing was just like a white supremacist conspiracy. And I was like, oh, God. Anyway, you'd have to debate, you know. I'm not going to, what I don't like here, I'm obviously, this is right around when she's about to get off work. I'm not going to start getting a fight with her over the fucking phone. But, you know, I was like, you're going to have to say, she said she did reference some documents and I went through them. But I was like, that's not a very strong argument. Anyway, the person I'm related to is called the Good Sir James. Holy fuck. Wild Bill Hitchcock is, you can believe that. Oh, interesting. The Good Sir James. Was he a giant rabbit or no? Was he a big boy? Anyway, I don't know how we get onto this now, but talking about Loosh maybe, is that ever fucking talking about this fucking shit? Holy Christ.
That's where he started with those Loosh.
Holy fucking Christ. Now we're down this fucking rabbit hole here.
Humans are just Looshers.
Just Loosh. Yeah. Well, anyway.
I'm Looshing. I'm Looshing.
Looshing, yeah. That's more fun. Loosh is more fun, yeah.
How about this, just for something completely different here?
Yes.
What do you, how do you, how do I put this? What do you think of the notion that pornography is actually an occult ritual?
Fuck, brother. What kind of pornography?
Well, I'm gonna send this link to, I'm gonna send this shocking graph to you.
Let's see here. It's an occult ritual. I mean, you know, depending upon how much dopamine does an activity release? Oh my God, math looks like the best time, probably. God damn.
1,300% dopamine compared to baseline.
God damn. Food's 150. Oh, I put video games up there, brother. I don't know. Fucking video, 175% video, brother. I don't know. Let me tell you, tomorrow, if they drop fucking Oblivion Remake, it's going to be over 175% for me. Sex at 200. Fuck. I don't know. It's very intriguing. So by this graph, is this what they're trying to argue that, I mean, fuck, look, math just says everything beat though.
The post with it says sexual activity, it's nothing really so complicated. Sexual activity releases a huge amount of dopamine. Doing this too often will adjust your brain adjust what your brain considers to be baseline level. So things that were exciting before normal and things that were normal become boring. And if you jerk off 10 times a day, even your favorite book, series, or video games becomes boring, and you find yourself lying on bed. 10
times a day?
That's what he said, 10 times a day, doing either nothing or doom scrolling on your phone.
Brother, you jerk off 10 times a day. What the fuck? Who has that kind of
time?
There
are stories of people doing that. Well, there was this...
Oh my God. Well, yeah, of course it get boring after. Of course it get boring. What the fuck? Holy fuck! Of course it get boring. Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, there's this movie that I remember I watched with a friend of mine. This is back way. Oh, when would this have come out? I want to say maybe like 2014, maybe. No, it would have been before that. It might have been like 2011 or 2012. It has that guy. It had that guy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, in it.
Oh yeah.
It had Scarlett Johansson in it, and it was called Don John because that's what people called Gordon-Levitt's character. They called him Don John.
Don John.
The guy was the guy effectively was like, you know, that his thing would be he'd go to the club, you know, he'd pick up the girl for the one night stand. But what the movie was about him dealing with his pornography addiction.
Oh shit!
And that was one of the things. So he goes and he meets this character, the Scarlett Johansson character, because he picks her up at the bar or at the club, you know, and then he kind of wants to pursue a relationship.
Right.
But I can't remember the exact details of it. But she ends up like seeing him or something, like look at his computer history or something, and he goes like, "What's the big deal?" And she goes, "Oh, it's disgusting." And then he starts calling her out on her bullshit and whatnot too, because they go see like some movie, and he was comparing it. It was like her watching a romantic movie was like the equivalent of him looking at pornography, and they break up. And I think during the movie, I think the claim was they said, "I beat my record. I jerked off 26 times."
Oh my God,
in
brother.
one day.
You'd be blowing out the fucking vein or something. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I can't remember the exact number, but it was some like fucking huge number where you're just like that. How? How?
I
How does
mean,
it work up that energy?
You could fucking, I mean, you know. Now, this chart here is crazy. I mean, math is clearly way more fun than fucking video games. Like, let's just be real here. Like, there's not even a comparison according to this chart. So now he's saying it's not reasonable to equate the brain response to drug use with that of video games. Brother, meth's at 1,300%. Video games are 175%. That is not nearly as fun. That's not even close to the amount of fucking fun. So no, you can't. You could. On that graph, you would infer that video games are closer to baseline by a mile than they are to meth. So no, it's not reasonable to equate the brain use to drug use with that of video games. Go fuck right off. Coke's at 450 for Christ's sake. That's way higher than video games. The fuck?
Well, hold on here. Actually, just a little side note. Given that it is 420, here's a World War II history bit for you.
Excellent.
This is supposedly after the Allies started to invade. I think started to push back after Normandy. I think.
Yeah.
And they encountered the German soldiers in the field. They found that on the dead bodies of the soldiers, they had these tablets on them. And they found out that these tablets was like pure methamphetamine.
Yes. And
it turns out that I guess that's what made the Blitzkrieg so effective. Is that you could have your soldiers just stay up for like 3 days in a row, just as we see with that 100 or 1,300% dopamine going through, and then they'd just go, and no wonder they would just like fly through all the battlefield and whatnot. That's supposedly what made the Blitzkrieg effective.
Oh yeah.
That was the other statement is that I guess Adolf Hitler was just popping these tablets all day.
Yeah, there's a video actually of him just tweaking the fuck out at the Olympics. What? Why?
Is that right?
I can never find videos that I want when I search them on here. It's fucking annoying. But yeah, here he is right here. He's like tweaking the fuck out. Yeah. There's some other footage I think of this where he's just like tweaking the fuck out. Oh yeah. They were all fucking just banging it. Well, you know, like you got to thank that the whole idea of super soldiers too, right? Like they were trying to get people in this headspace where you had to be the ultimate soldier, and really dark when you think about it. That they were sending these people off to die all hopped up and pretty terrible shit, evil shit actually, yeah, because they were all fucking psychopaths.
The Allies supposedly had a similar program they were using. They didn't use meth, but they used caffeine, and I don't remember if they did use cocaine or not. But way back in the early 1900s, I guess you could just go to your local general store and just buy like a brick of cocaine. Yeah,
it is sped up a bit, Aaron. Yeah. Oh yeah, but you could. Well, it was in Coca-Cola, right? Cocaine and Coca-Cola.
Yeah, it was one of the ingredients of Coca-Cola. Yeah. The psychologist Sigmund Freud was big time on cocaine.
Oh yeah,
big time advocate of cocaine.
Oh yeah, fucking, it was a huge meme. Yeah, this is a problem with TikToks and the doom scroll, dopamine addiction, which affects you wanting to do shit. Felt it myself trying to get off the doom scroll. It's hard. I've taken the counting down from 10 scrolls and forcing myself to leave. Dopamine, brother. Oh man, it's crazy. Yeah. Didn't they also mix it with chocolate? Did they? I don't know. Sorry.
I've been going through those 4chan withdrawals myself, thank you. Recently, thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll catch myself in the morning. I'm making coffee. I'll like just have it on shorts, and it's like on YouTube is usually what I would use. I don't use TikTok, but I find just all this random information. I'm like, fucking Christ, you just get like lost in it. But yeah, I mean, obviously this is like, I don't know how you could fucking 200%. I mean, now sex is implying with another person, so sex by yourself, I'd say, is down pretty low. Like below food, I would place personally below food.
Does masturbation come into that?
Oh my god, it's just one of those things. It's like, I don't know. It's
So this question is this? Well, I'll spare you the details because there's a lot of things that we shouldn't say on Twitch that. Go into detail as to why this is an occult ritual, but
okay.
We can't.
What's the TLDR on it? Like with
a particular group of people has an interest in trying to subdue the population.
Oh, that's always how it goes with these, isn't it? Yeah, it's always where it goes. Yeah. Holy fucking Christ. Yeah. Watching someone masturbate like in the flesh. Is that, that's a good question. That would probably be slightly off that list, Rabbit. Maybe that's like 130%, maybe. Yeah. Does alcohol have anything on dopamine? I think it has. Isn't it a depressant though? I think alcohol is a depressant technically. It's you know what? It's funny because not that I've used those other substances listed that are of a very high level, but alcohol is always my go-to. Where I actually feel the most relaxed because I tend to be a very tense, high-strung person. Like any of these substances here, cocaine, amphetamine, meth, like I feel terrible. Because it's gonna up you up. I don't need that. I need something to bring me down. Like even caffeine, which is quite similar to these substances in some ways. Caffeine is maybe it does give me like a bit of a mood boost, but I get I get the jitters. I'm really sensitive to it. So alcohol has always been my go-to if I'm going to use a substance because it mellows me out, which I need. Yeah, dogging. Yeah, fucking just go to the local fucking parking lot. Just do some dogging. Yeah, from a distance. That'd be an adrenaline rush though. So that'd be kind of different. That's when you get into like the fetish side of things, and that's where Twitch probably doesn't want us to go, where things get weird, and then that's also what happens when you spend too much time on the internet, is that slowly you go down the rabbit holes, and then that's why you stay the fuck off the internet, on those places at least. I've heard that before, that it's in the cult ritual. I've heard that like, what's the logic behind it? Like, why is it in the cult ritual though? More specifically.
I'm just looking at this. I'm just trying to see how I could censor this but communicate it.
You could dump it into ChatGPT and be like, hey, how can you TLDR this in a safe way?
Well, it goes that this is the claim. There is evidence to suggest that the particular group of people have Neanderthal DNA, which further supports that these people are said puppet master controllers of non-human origin that are enslaving the people that are not member of this group for centuries, that they may in fact be Anunnaki. I think that this is exactly why said group of people produce pornography. I think pornography and masturbation must have some sort of spiritual significance, and that is why they promote that filth.
Why did I resub? You're gonna be banned by the end of the night. Brother, Twitch, this is all just for fun, you know? This is just all for fun, yeah. Holy fucking Christ, yeah. Oh, that's just fucking crazy, yeah. Well, there you go.
There's a little bit of a rabbit hole with that you can go into that you can't really find like a reason, like a good reason, like why, other than just saying like subvert like people. But then you say like, anyway, we're not going further. We're not going any more into that. I mean,
I kind of disagree with it in some way. I think it's like one of the most basic, like, animalistic fucking memes. Like, maybe there's some kind of a fucking dark intention with like the websites where they're trying to like slowly control people. I don't fucking know. But like,
I think a rationale behind it is that you have it readily available because then that's supposed to lower like sexual assault rates. In other words, to give like an outlet for like a sexual release that may in fact be taken through like abuse otherwise. The big problem that people have with it right now is that there's like been a gigantic exposure to like a young generation coming up. Because listen, we all had those friends.
I'll be right back. I'll keep going.
At the very beginning of the of the age of the internet, we all had those friends that, they'd be just like, oh my God, look at this website here. We gotta go check out this website. And be like, oh my God, what's going on? Because you're like 8 years old or like 10 years old, and you're kind of hazarding like a guess as to like what's going on there. And then part of you is like, oh, that's sick. And the other part is just like, but I can't look away. So I think that's kind of like the maybe the thought of like going up why like some people, because there's effectively a generation now that has grown up entirely with it now. And what's happened is that now you're starting to see the effects of that when that said generation that would have been exposed to that at a very early age effectively is now of age. And there's supposedly a connection between that and then this like rise of like people not wanting to work anymore. So I think with the dopamine release on that is that there's I think like the issue that a lot of people would have with it would be is it too readily available? And I know some places like I don't know if this is true or not, but I think the United Kingdom like you have to like show like proof of age now for it. But that is to say that you have to effectively have like a license to view said websites now, or websites of this nature. But I don't know the answer to that. I could be completely mistaken with it. There's another part to this post as well that doesn't really have anything to do with what we're talking about. But I'll wait for Jim to come back. Wait for old Jim to come back before we talk about that.
Madam Misery's not feeling too well there, so I said I'd go check on her.
I was just elaborating further on, like, effectively the exposure of it. There's been a little bit of I've gone into this like rabbit hole of just looking at like effectively what the damage of like pornography has been doing. But
oh yeah,
I'll get off my soapbox for that now, because that would be one that's going to go off the rails. There's one other part to this post though that I thought was interesting. This is actually the first part of the post, and well, the thread was, "What conspiracies do you believe in?" And this guy said that J.P. Morgan sank the Titanic because there were several billionaires in it that opposed the Federal Reserve and the creation of an American central bank. What do you make of this?
We have to look this up. J.P. Morgan sank the Titanic? How the fuck would they have done that though? Like they purposely rammed it into the fucking iceberg?
I don't know.
That's an interesting one.
That's the guy. Well, this is the same guy that started going off about. A particular group of people and their we'll say their agenda to push pornography.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, but that was just the start of it.
Die? Interesting. Yeah, I personally also have kind of a vendetta against it. Where, I think my conclusion is it is ultimately just harmful. There's been this trend, and her name's Blue. I forget what her first name is, but she's like this OnlyFans model who slept with 1,000 people. It's actually my partner that told me about her. And I've been seeing this go around. I've been seeing her now like on YouTube and stuff because people have been talking about her. But it's very destructive, I think, personally. And it's something that, you know, because we're millennials and, you know, so when we first got a computer, I was probably like, we had like a Mac kind of thing, but a first like proper computer with internet access, I don't know. I was probably like 11 or 12, really. It was actually quite a while before we had like a proper like Microsoft, like Windows PC. And, so that I would have been 12, 13 when you first go like on Newgrounds was one site back in the day where you'd run into like pornography and shit. But kids have smartphones. And although they're locked, like younger teens have full fucking access to the entirety of the internet. And the internet's a much more fucked place than kind of it used to be, really. I mean, you know, you just go to like sites like Rule 34, that type of stuff where it's just everywhere. And then OnlyFans too is something that is pretty accessible. Although you need a credit card, but you can use PayPal. Like there's ways to get around it. So it's, I wonder what effect it has had on these younger generations. And I would imagine it's probably been pretty devastating. That combined, sorry to interrupt you, but that combined, I was just going to say, with the presence of smartphones in schools and the ease of access that children have or younger people have to blackmail and whatnot by taking photos of themselves and sending them and Snapchat and screenshotting it. And it's all fucked. Yeah.
Well, we were kind of you would have been out of high school, but no, this is kind of like high school. Just as we were in high school, that was kind of like the very beginning of like kids sending like nude pictures to each other.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what no, this isn't really on topic actually, but no, actually this doesn't really have anything to do with it, but it's a story I'll tell a little bit later.
Okay.
It's an account I'll tell a little bit later. I thought it had to do with this, but it doesn't. But that's kind of like the beginning of it. Actually, if I recall correctly, Krendel has an interesting story about something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I think some girl that was in the States that I think they played like COD together with. And if I recall correctly, he'd have to tell better than me, but if I recall correctly, that she did send him some pictures.
Oh, yeah.
But like voluntarily, like sent them. Like I don't think he asked for it or anything. I think it's just like she just sent them.
Yeah. I mean, I had been in a relationship from when I was essentially, we'll say 20, 21 until 30. So that's 2010 roughly until 2020. So I missed Tinder, Snapchat, all the dating apps. So I was 30 years old in 2020 when I was single. And so I had no understanding of any of that. And I wasn't the most technologically capable person to begin with, and like my phone, even my phone to this day, like doesn't have a lot on it. Like, so I had to learn because I was in the dating scene after recovering from that, which took a little while. And I just couldn't believe Snapchat, man, alone was just like, I was like, holy fucking Christ. Like anyway, it was an eye-opening experience to say the least. Like, because before that, I was Plenty of Fish. That's what I was on. That's what I used, Plenty of Fish. Back in 2009, 2008, 2009, 2010, you're on Plenty of Fish. Like now it's like a dating site for mums, I guess. But it was like a different vibe. It's weird. So I wasn't really involved with any of that. And yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, watching your kids are fucking watching. Yeah, all this weird is everywhere. I mean, absolutely. She's one of those weirdos, Bonnie Blue. It just grosses me the fuck out, man. Even more hypersexualizing and objectifying women and forming parasocial relationships with these models, man. Well, someone like Andrew Tate too is somebody that reminds me like this. And I follow Mike Thurston on YouTube because he's a fitness model. He's not like a bodybuilder per se, weightlifter. He's in really good shape. I've liked his content for years, his lifting content, but I see his videos come up, and he did a day out with him. He did this before, back a couple years ago. And Andrew, when you listen to him in that environment, like probably like 70% of the time, he sounds like one of my friends growing up, like very edgy, dark, kind of aggressive. And I was like, okay, but then there's some shit that comes out of his fucking mouth, and I'm just, I like the red flags start showing up. And those guys, to me, man, listen, they're hyper successful people. They're cutthroat, right? And he was involved with cam girls. So, I mean, pretty nefarious business, honestly. Does involve human trafficking. Whether or not they were actually doing that, I don't know. But,
yeah,
he was complaining about women the whole time. And he's not the sharpest guy. He is in some ways, but he was complaining about women the whole time. And he's like, yeah, all these hoes and these bitches and these sluts. And his whole perspective on women is that, oh, well, they're just going to take everything I have. And I'm like, brother, the only girls that you're hanging around, because and the little bit of research that I've done on him, I've kind of got a vibe on like some of his baby mamas. He's talking about them. I'm like, they're all like fucking bimbos. Like they're all idiots. And I was like he lives with his brother still in like this like penthouse, like frat boy environment. I'm like, so all you seem to be able to pull and hang around with are idiots.
Wait, are you talking about Andrew Tate or your buddy?
Andrew Tate. I was like, what does that tell you about?
All right, it makes way more sense.
I was like, what does that tell you about yourself? I was like, if you're gonna find a good woman, do you think she put up with that for 5 seconds? No. So then, who's the problem here? The women that you're hanging around who are idiots, or you? You clearly seem like the problem, right? Like a good you know, virtuous woman, smart person, wouldn't put up with any of that fucking shit. So that's why you can only end up with all these idiots. I'm like, that's the mentality of these like hustler boys. So like they just look for some like fucking, it's just some idiot. And like, I'm like, well, they're idiots. That's why they're all fucking idiots, man. It's just literally, you know, and it's fun just listening to him. I was like, God damn it. I was like, this guy's like worth like $500 million from, you know, abusing people, abusing men, actually, probably almost, and women, maybe literally physically, but abusing men in another way where they were taking their money from them.
It's abuse of everyone, I'd say.
Well, with the cam girl specifically, I guess, where they were, what they would do is they would talk to the guys, jerking off to the girls in the other room, which, when you think about that for a second, is pretty sus. But they would be having the conversations with the guys while the girl just does her thing. And I'm like, but you want to help young men? Like, you want to help men? Like, you leached all your money away from all these guys that have a problem. I'm like, you don't want to help people. Those kinds of people are classic service to self fucking pieces of shit. And you can see them from a mile away. Those are their intentions. They surround themselves with other idiots. And, you know, they hate women, but he hates women because all he surrounds himself with are idiots. Because if he surrounded himself with good people, good women, they wouldn't put up with him for 2 fucking seconds. So, fuck. Anyway.
It's like the perspective. It really is like kind of what your exposure is. So
yeah.
Like one of the things that's kind of been discussed over the last decade or so, or 15 years, is that a lot of men, especially young men, kind of view women as either just like they're going to just leech off you, or they're just effectively there just to like service you sexually. And then you ask like, okay, so what's their exposure to women? And it's like pretty much through like cam girls, pornography, and, you know, that kind of stuff.
Right, that's exactly right. It's just objectified.
Yeah, so it just like objectifies them.
Yeah.
And then you kind of think like, well, kind of makes sense why there's like so many men that kind of grow up like essentially just starting to hate women now, because that's really all they have been exposed to. They haven't really, maybe they've tried talking like once or twice to like other women and whatnot, but maybe they thought their encounter didn't go so good, or what they expected.
Right.
And then they kind of just go back to what they know, and then they start to like hate it because it's something they need, or it's because they feel like they're not really worth anything. It's kind of like around where we live, like there's an old notion for a lot of like young women, or like particularly around where we live, that if you're not dating somebody, you're effectively like worthless.
Yeah.
So a lot of women end up having kids because when they're like 16 as a result of it. And that's like an old notion, I guess, that goes back even like 100 years around here.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was reading through Brad's comment there too. I was thinking, you're just saying to cop it, but the last 200 were just natural relationships. Well, the last 2 relationships I've had, they were same, man. I mean, that's my experience with the dating apps. I mean, I'm a pretty eccentric guy as it is, and you know, I just never really, you know, I need someone I can like sit and have a conversation with, and I struggled with it too. It was usually, you would just find people, I would just kind of find people naturally anyway. I mean, obviously it's still a competitive environment, like you still have to go out and put yourself out there, and you know, there's going to be competition. Maybe like there's other people that some of these people, even if they're like a friend of yours you've known, they're the people they're talking to, right? So you're still going to put yourself in a competitive place, but it's going to be competitive a little bit. But I'm kind of the same way, man. I think it's, you know, I've had these buddies growing up, man, where like all about like the body count and stuff, and they're at the club every fucking weekend, bringing home like X, Y, and Z fucking mums, and I'm just like, holy fuck, boys, like, it's just like, you know. Like, it wasn't my thing personally. I do understand like where they're coming. It's like this basic male drive, but like, for me, it was so much work. Like I had other things in my life that I was doing, and I would rather just be in a relationship that was fulfilling, and you get that out of the relationship instead of playing that. It was a game that you were playing constantly, and I spent my time doing other things, you know, and Anyway, that was my experience with the two, man. But yeah, be Grifter 101. Yeah, the secret to success, not giving a fuck. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, never cared about the shit. Same, man. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. And I think that's kind of for me, the fulfilling part for me was like of the companionship and partnership and having somebody you can rely on that you're also obviously sexually attracted to. And like, there's just a fulfilling part of that for me where, you see some of these other people and it's very superficial kind of relationship and they objectify them. And then you hear that they end up fucking abusing them. And I don't know if that's true. Those are allegations. And I know these guys who are very famous can get a lot of fucking idiots and they're surrounding themselves with people that are kind of idiots because they're idiots too. And then you wonder why they turn their back on them and throw them under the bus. I'm like, well, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah,
she's a piece of shit.
Who saw that coming? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, and like they're surprised why they keep getting themselves in these problems. I'm like, brother, like, anyway, karma to some degree, man. Like, anyway, car looks nice. And at the end of the day, this guy, not so much. So nice car, poor character. Right. And I think thinking people just see that in him almost instantaneously when they listen to him speak. So he pulls the wool over the eyes of usually young men. But as those people grow up and they go through life, they'll probably come to understand that like that isn't necessarily the life you want. I don't want to be 38 living in a penthouse with my brother and the boys. That was fun when you're like fucking 23, not fucking 38, right? Or however old he is now. He's a couple years older than me. But I'm just like, your brother, like, you gotta move the fuck on. Thanks. Like, anyway, whatever. He's got a Bugatti. I don't. That's,
yeah,
so at the end of the day, like, it's like, I'm poor. He's rich. So you go to some fucking 16-year-old.
Though.
Yeah, huh?
He's making Elliot Roger 2.0 though. That's what he's doing.
Fuck yeah. God fucking damn it. Yeah, man. It's just like.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
He might have a Bugatti, but he's tearing down the world in the process.
Man, it's just fucking, yeah. This is why Christianity, for all its ills, is actually a good guide for young people to get some moral education. It can be a good introduction, I think, man, to some degree. Yeah. I mean, at least see kind of the whole meme about, because there's virtue ethics kind of baked into the Christian argument because they took it from fucking Aristotle. But, I definitely, and obviously philosophy and some of these philosophers are a little bit of a different meme, but I think definitely an argument for like virtuous life. That's the thing for me with like when it comes to I don't know what you think about this GALENTV as a fellow philosopher, you can chime in, but with ethics, like when it comes to like ethics and religions, and some people will turn to these religious institutions to kind of orient their moral compass. I mean, I want a good argument for the good, right? It's like sometimes they'll be like, oh well, God's watching. Don't jerk off. God's watching you. I'm like, God's fucking pervert. He can watch, right? He wants to watch. Like, Jesus wants to watch. Sir, Father, you want to watch right now? Probably.
Pervert isn't God.
Yeah.
God is private pervert. If he's all knowing and all seeing,
yeah,
he's checking out in their most private moments.
But it's like a consequential kind of meme, right? Where there needs to be an argument, and they do to be fair to them, there's some Christian philosophers who kind of went into this a little bit, but like a good argument for the good, right? Like why should you try and uphold yourself, like to have a virtuous character or strive to have a virtuous character, right? And the different traits that make up being a virtuous person, right? And there's an argument. You can formulate an argument for why you should, though, and why you should strive to be a good person, and how that will kind of ripple through yourself, and how that's the underpinnings and foundations of civilization. Good civilization ultimately are good people, right? Strong communities that build strong civilization, and that there's a lot of different character traits that are involved with that, and doing your best to uphold those, and like that's what I think we need more of too, which isn't just kind of blind adherence to some religious doctrine or faith, but actual argument for like, well, this is why you should be good, right? And it's Marcus Aurelius too was another good philosopher who kind of talked about that a bit. But Aristotle ultimately, and Plato, and they're proponents of virtue ethics, and I'm a huge proponent of that myself. And I'm not expert in a lot of things in philosophy, but I'm a huge proponent of virtue ethics in my own life and like leading and living in service to other lifestyle. And trying to uphold somewhat of a decent character, right? No one's fucking perfect, you know? Like, if things get a little bit too expensive, fucking Galen Weston, go fuck yourself, run Superstore. But, you know, that's more like a Robin Hood kind of meme, right? Like, you know, if the peanuts get too expensive.
Selfish Robin Hood meme,
if the peanuts get too expensive, listen, I'll bring some of the peanuts over to your place, right? Fucking, the peanuts get too expensive, chicken stock, brother. I said, oh, that doesn't look like $45 for the peanuts, brother. That all of a sudden starts to look to me like 35 cents worth of chicken stock. It's like, how fuck? I'm getting confused. The inflation's starting to fucking inflate my brain a little bit. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. Anyway. But for me, that's an argument like, they can go fuck themselves, right? That's my argument there, actually. Just go fuck yourself.
Ruin it for the rest of us.
Yeah. No, I'll share you. You can share in the peanuts, brother. Yeah. Yeah.
A Robin Hood for himself and only himself.
Oh. No, I spread the peanuts around to everybody, right? We're just that's what I do. Everyone had some of my nuts, you know? They're pretty cheap. I'll sell them to you pretty cheap.
It's like if Robin Hood went and stole the taxes and then bought his own house with the tax money he stole.
You guys can come over for a sleepover. I'll let you over on the weekend. Yeah. Fuck Christ. People these days struggle to form an ethical framework, specifically in the digital age. They do, man. And I think that's, you know, the anonymity online too can be a bit of an issue. And I mean, listen, everyone's argued with people on the internet, or you've said fucking offensive, stupid things to people. But one thing that I've done like the last, honestly, the last like 10 years is, because I haven't been streaming that long, but I started trying to just engage people online too, as if I was with them in person, where, you know, that mask of anonymity can sometimes be very tempting to like kind of, and you know, I love the LA series Jim Russell. I love kind of picking at people, trolling people sometimes, but you know, it's like treating people just better as well. And I think it can sometimes, the anonymity gives people an excuse to treat people poorly, or they had a bad day at work, so they go online and start cursing somebody out, or makes them feel better. And that's just really fucking childish and petty and shit. And there's a lot of that. And I think there's a lot of young people too that maybe are in the, what's the generation after millennials? The Gen Z or
that might be, Gen Z.
Yeah, where they are probably just kind of been brought up with this more than any of us have been. And it's, I don't know, like I would never treat someone like that in person. Just like, you know, I'm also confrontational too in person. So, you know, I just try and just be myself on the internet too. And I think that definitely is something that I've tried to do, like not use that facade, and just be genuine and transparent. And as I see many people on here are too, and I think many people are, probably the majority are like that, but we do see the sliver sometimes, even on YouTube, like, you know, the video you click on is sometimes like the drama one, because like that's a hot tea, right? People like that spicy drama. So, but yeah.
It's an interest in other people and the story that someone else's story. Sometimes you just want to see someone else's story besides your own.
Sometimes you just want to fucking see someone just go through some shit, because it's drawn. I mean, it's a weird thing. Like I'm not like a big person. I'm not a huge drama queen or anything. I'm not like a huge fan of it, but there is an allure to it where, and I've noticed that in people around me, and just even myself too, like what you'll click on, where, you know, it's very tempting. And anyway, I don't know what it is. It's excitement though. It's the monotony of life that you can kind of get caught into sometimes, and you end up watching people, maybe even like an Andrew Tate, where like he's flying around in a Bugatti, and you're like, oh, I love cars. Like, you know, that's fucking crazy. That'd be so cool to own a vehicle like that, and so cool to live a life like that. And you know, the thing about his, and this is where they get confusing, and everyone here knows this, I know, but it's, you know, there's definitely and I understand why he's an allure to younger people, specifically younger men, because there's some harsh truths that he communicates, which are absolutely true, which is kind of the enslavement by the middle class, by the hyper elite, where we're in these situations, especially in the last couple decades, where inflation has become things have become unaffordable, and the system is starting to fall apart, where, you know, you're going to get at a university after paying now. I mean, what university prices, GALENTV, have what, doubled at least since we first went? Like something.
Yeah, they're definitely I'm just thinking about when recently. So it's
6,000 is how much it
probably-
cost for almost a year, I think. So, oh no, it would have been like
Oh, no.
eight.
Oh,
sorry,
that's like semester.
yeah. I think
So
it. I
it's
think
probably
it
close
was. Yeah. Go ahead.
Probably close to like 50,000 at our local university.
Man.
For a 4-year program, if you're a new student.
So it was about 9. So it was about 36,000 before. I think is what it would have cost. Yeah. So, and then when you get out, you're going to be offered a job that pays about what it was going to pay about 15, 20 years ago, which is about $40,000 to $50,000. So, and then the housing prices have gone up almost double. If you're lucky, almost double. So things are unbelievably fucked, and no one wants to talk about it.
Just on a side note with that, have you seen the Conservatives' new commercial?
No, I have not.
All right, so they have this commercial that's going on right now, and there's two. They have two. Forgive my language. They have two boomers at the driving range.
Yeah.
Just kind of talking. They're going, "Oh yeah, my son, he's having a real hard time right now. You know, yeah, I know things are tough here. We had to pay for Sarah's mortgage there, you know, last year, or for a down payment, couldn't do it. Yeah, I don't know. Carney says things will be good. Do you believe that clown, Carney? We can't let the Liberals have a 4th term. You know what? I was thinking the same thing." And then he hits a nice drive off the tee, and it says "Vote Conservative."
Oh, boys, yeah, that's the thing. It's the trajectory she's on right now is not. Anyway,
man, that commercial actually made me upset. I'm like, I'm not even going to vote for him over that commercial.
God,
that's how petty I am about that.
Oh man, yeah. Some people would like to travel back in time and do things that they were never meant to be, as well as humans like stories who wouldn't like to fight alongside some hero's tale story. Yeah, that's how they frame themselves too, man. Try to be the hero. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just fucking. Anyway, so you hear Andrew memeing about this kind of stuff, but that is true. It's just he's just a fucking idiot. Is on top of that though, he's a dingus. He's out for himself. But where you want to get kind of out from under the thumb of this system, right? Like you want to kind of get out from under the thumb of this. It's effectively we're entering this kind of new age. It's almost kind of like feudalism, where we're like we're peasants. We're gonna be peasants. The middle class is gonna be destroyed. And there's going to be the wealthy, the very wealthy, and the poor, effectively. But you know, it'll look different in that the poor will be propped up to some degree. I mean, listen, even with AI, we're going to have universal basic income at some point. There has to be some kind of support because there's going to be so much upset in the job market with so many people that, you know, you'll have to effectively just get people living on some kind of a welfare. But they're going to be living, you know, a life that peasants never lived, where you're going to have like free healthcare, and you're going to have a mini split in your home, and you know you're going to have AC in the winter or in the summer. You're going to have heat in the winter, and
with like a heat pump programs,
yeah. You'll be living comfortably, but you'll be dependent upon the state, and that's not really a great thing, especially when the state is in the state that it's in, right? Where the hyper wealthy are now running the state effectively, and it's like, okay. Where's this all going? Yeah.
That's effectively what the Century Initiative is about in Canada. I think I've talked to you about that before.
Yeah, I fucking, sorry. Yeah, I need to write that down. Feudalism. Yeah, feudalism, Titus. Yeah, that's essentially it. FEU, I think. Yeah, and Larkin, they're company towns. They're bringing back company towns. But all the slick new look, that's exactly it, man.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that Amazon and whatnot is starting to build like company towns.
Man, fuck these goddamn cunts. Like, company... I think it was Amazon.
You don't want to live in the Costco town or the Irving town.
Oh man,
Irving town would be like the Line City that they produced in what was it like? And it would just be like any moment, 24 hours a day. They need you to come in. They just call you in. They just forcibly lift you up out of the bed, throw you into like some kind of like electric like tram, and then you just go right to work.
And then you're gonna get your daily allotment of bugs. You'll get your bug protein shake for lunch, like Jeff. We're gonna eat you before that fucking happens, brother. Like they don't understand what they're running into, because You've grown up. This is a problem. And this is why this isn't going to fucking work. Because people have grown up in a system where they've been afforded some level of freedom. And already what's happening is you're seeing the workforce start to kind of unravel a little bit because people aren't being compensated appropriately. Inflation's being ignored by the government and corporations. It's being abused. Well, let's look at this, okay? Look at, but it is to some degree. They still don't recognize the level of inflation that's gone on with food. I have not heard any of them mention the inflation of food in the last 8 or 9 years. Personally, I've not heard them make any mention of it. The chicken prices have almost doubled in some stores. Like, they've almost doubled. At Costco, they're up. It's $34 for like 2.2 kg of chicken. It used to be like 25.
To be fair,
that's
to the Canadian politicians, that was one of Jagmeet Singh's talking points at the federal debate on Thursday, was the cost of groceries.
If Jagmeet wasn't good looking and a wizard beard, no one fucking even listened to him. That's the only reason anyone pays attention to Jagmeet.
I don't think people listen to him really anyway.
Well, people that do listen to him. Anyway. Yeah, man. I might live in my Costco apartment when I shop at Costco with the money I made working at Costco. Yeah, brother. Yeah. Daddy Trump says if you bring home my grocery prices down, you're waiting. Oh, fucking great. It's just a huge fucking mess, man. And this is the thing with like him getting in there and hoping that the problems are going to be fixed. I mean, man, even the deportation thing, right? Which, okay, here's an argument. There are all these people in the country who are causing trouble, right? They've come in illegally. They're contributing to the drug problem. Cool. All right, get rid of them. Now, the problem is when you try and enforce some kind of like mass deportation, that's assuming along the line, the chain of command, that you've got competent people at every level. What happens is there's a lot of people in there that aren't making enough money. They can't afford to live properly. They don't give a fuck about the job anymore. And so when you go trickle down the long list of people to where like everything needs to be in place, things start getting mixed up. People start getting mixed up. Maybe people who are living in the States or Canadian start getting harassed by ICE agents. Maybe they get pulled into room for fucking 24 hours and get, threatened to be deported. And they're like, I've been here for years working. Like, what's going on? And then that hits media. And then he looks really bad. And that's, anyway, yeah. I mean, it's, yeah. So that was my concern with the whole deportation thing when they even talked about it. I was like, guys, do you think this is going to be done well? I mean, yeah, listen, we got a problem in Canada. We brought over, no offense to anybody from fucking Syria. I know some boys from Syria. They run a fucking barbershop I used to go to. They're great guys. Came over, started a business. Greatest guys you ever fucking meet, right? Some of these people that fucking came over are fucking assholes. One of the guys, I know, I'm not going to mention how I know any of this, but I know I've heard of a couple of them. One of who I believe has multiple rape charges and is still walking around, right? Involved in a gang rape and almost killed a group of people because he slammed into them with his car that wasn't registered, no inspection, no brakes. Why the fuck is he still here? Right? He's just here on a program. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Don't throw him in prison. Get him the fuck out of here. Right? He literally has come over and just been a problem the entire time. There's people like that. Okay. But like, you got to dedicate the necessary resources to do that. There's a problem. But once that's done, get him the fuck out of here. Right? When it's a mass program though, holy fuck. I mean, that's the other issue, right? But anyway, so I get where they're coming from, but it's like, I don't have faith that, I don't know what you think, do you everyone else? I don't have faith in a lot of these people to do any of this properly. When you look at Don, has been a fucking, apprentice. He's been a TV star for fucking a third of his life. So like, I don't trust any of them. None of them to me come across as like true leaders. What do you think, GALENTV? I don't fucking know.
With respect to Canada or in the United States? Hell no,
the
not
fucking
Jagmeet.
West.
Oh,
The
hell
West.
no, not
The West.
Not Jagmeet. Hell no.
Who's the leader in the West?
In Canada or the United States, or just the West?
The West in general.
We don't know their name because it's not a public figure. because they're behind the veil, shadows.
The sad thing is that the person who I've heard speak, probably the most intelligently, critically, is a fucking dictator. That's not good. That's Buddy out of fucking
El Salvador.
Calls himself Philosopher King, which is just equally concerning. But like, where are all the leaders at? Hey man, fucking Christ. Yeah, I just like, yeah.
You didn't care for, are you missing JT at all?
Oh, I missed JT on purpose. Yeah, JT. I didn't say cock. I said leader. I said leader, not cock. I'll read Larkin's comic because I read that there. Yeah, you work for Walmart. You rent a Walmart-owned house in a Walmart-owned town. The gas station owned by Walmart. Everything's owned in your city or town by Walmart. They pay you in Walmart bucks. Is the only thing the store is in the town accepts. If you lose your job, what happens? You mosey on along down to another town. What happens if the whole country ends up like that? Well, you get in a boat and you just
they put that much money into you.
Yeah.
Man, you had to do something real bad probably to get fired at that point. But I suppose that would be the question: is what do you do then if, let's say the corporate towns share backgrounds? So it's kind of like it'd be kind of like insurance, right? So insurance brokers kind of share like insurance claims, at least with like automobiles with other brokers. So if like you see that you have a high or that you've made multiple claims or a bunch of claims on one broker, and then you try to switch to another one to get a better price, they'll look at that and they'll be like, oh, why are you coming over here? Oh, I see you've got a history of that. So it could be like the same thing with these corporate towns. You get fired for, we'll just say, for lack of a better phrase, incompetence. You know, you made a stupid mistake, but it was like a big mistake. And you get fired from the Walmart town. Then you try to go to the Amazon town. The Amazon town looks and goes, oh, why'd you get fired from that? Oh, you made this. Sorry, our town's full. We can't let you in. You know.
That's just
and
yeah.
So would something like that happen? I was thinking about your statement too with the fellow that just effectively come here and cause mayhem and havoc. It sounds like.
Oh yes, yeah.
Suppose. What would you do with the person? Just and the answer will probably be pretty obvious. But just what would you do with the person? Suppose they didn't come from somewhere else. Suppose they grew up here. What would you do with the person then?
You'd be obligated to imprison them.
So they would go to jail then.
Yeah, you'd go to jail.
Okay, so why wouldn't you do the same thing with this person instead of deporting them? Wouldn't prison then be the same answer?
They're not a citizen. They're here under like asylum status. They're not a Canadian citizen. So I believe it's actually I'm pretty sure it's in the fucking contract when they came over seeking asylum that if they're engaged in that kind of behavior, you're gone. Like pack your bags, you're gone. Yeah, we'll ship you right back to where you came from. Yeah. But they're not doing it.
Asylum is a little tricky, yeah.
So the reason why they weren't doing it with Justin, I'll just mention, is because he brought all these people over as a virtue signal to be like, look, I'm helping this country that's fucked, right? And, you know, again, there were some people that came over that they're great people. But then, you know, some people, and this is just, I understand, sometimes this happens. It's complicated. You bring fucking 20,000 people over, whatever the equivalent would be. Out of those people, yeah, there might be some shitheads, but you have to deal with them. So what they did was they brought them over, and some of them, yeah, started causing trouble. And you could argue that there's a percentage of them that, you know, just ended up essentially on welfare and weren't working and just thought that, oh, well, they're going to do everything for us. So they didn't communicate any of that to them when they brought them over. I've heard this personally from people that they literally just told them that everything's going to be paid for. They're going to be looked after, but it's just not true. It will run out. And then when they run into trouble or cause trouble, they weren't dealing with them. Because they didn't want the bad press, because to make them look bad. This is the level of stupidity that you're dealing with this government here recently, where there's no accountability whatsoever. But I mean, that happens constantly, whether it's a liberal or conservative candidate. I mean, they just don't take accountability for what went wrong because they need another term, or they're fucking, you know, my legacy, and then I won't get my good corporate job and I leave, and it just, anyway, just fucking idiots. So, sorry, but that's why you would just deport, you'd send them back, because they're not Canadian citizens. You're not going to pay for them to live in jail for 15 years. And they just don't want to be, some of them don't want to be here to begin with. They just had no choice to leave because the country there was really fucked. And they looked at it as an opportunity, some of them. And again, like we're a melting pot here in the West. This is a new world. I mean, you know, there's tons. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of, like, to some degree, like the multiculturalism works, especially if it's people who aren't fundamental or fundamentalists, religious fundamentalists, or they understand what they're coming over to. And a lot of young people I found, this is something I found, that, you know, whether they're from Syria or they're from Turkey or they're from Uzbekistan or Tokyo, or like the millennial generation I run into are people of the world, a lot of them. And they're, you know, the guys that run the barbershop, like, man, they speak like English just like me. Like, they're like, hey man, fuck yeah, man, like, watch YouTube. Like, they're all like, you know, they grew up, obviously there's like a Islamic culture there, but you know, they're very worldly people and they're very well adapted. And, you know, it's like, that's kind of the reality. And most people are good too. And they were wonderful people. I think most of the people that come over are great people, just trying to figure their shit out. But again, it's not dealing with the people that are problematic. So, but anyway, I don't want to make that a point, but I just mentioned that with what they're trying to bring up in the US with people from Mexico who've come in illegally. And although that's a huge working class there too. But anyway.
A question then would be, is it worth it, or would you be more likely to see people that would be wanting to adapt to like the culture and work and contribute to the civilization, or as opposed to effectively just leech off it, kind of like what you were talking about? Is it worth it to effectively give the benefits to everyone, and there will be people that will abuse it, but the ones that do need it that will work to, I guess, like be upstanding citizens and whatnot? Is it worth the funding? I guess in that case, it's kind of like the let's say like drug rehabilitation centers or like methadone clinics. There are definitely people that will just use it as a free source of drugs.
Yeah.
But there are people that will definitely use it because they truly want to like rehab and get themselves clean. So the question is do you fund it because you want to help the people that do want to get clean, or do you stop funding it because there are people that will abuse it?
Well, I mean, I think depends, like, what kind of society do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a society where when people fall on hard times, like, they have some kind of safety net to help them? I mean, like...
I was asking you, Jim Russell.
Oh, well, I want to live in a society where, I would absolutely... Well, it's complicated. Yeah, I would still fund it. I would still fund it even if there's a possibility there are people that end up abusing it. I mean, listen, I would personally put forward legislation to maybe tackle roots of the problem, which are psychological issues. The dark side of it is that abuse is usually at the root of a lot of addicts, which is very dark, sexual abuse and stuff. So, you know, you gotta have the net in place where, you're gonna give them the method, you're gonna give them the fucking, the methadone, they're gonna give them the fucking, effective heroin, what the equivalent of it, but then you're also gonna give them access to help so that they can try and figure out what's wrong, really, and that becomes very expensive. I
think I agree with your thought. Initially, when I first thought of it, and I thought about this years ago, and initially when I thought about it, I thought, you know what, let's just cut it off because you can effectively save a bunch of money for it. But the more that I thought about it, I think you want those programs in there because you get, that's what being human's all about, is giving you a chance. You get a shot to persevere. That's what being human is all about, is that we get a chance. There's
some people that have never had a chance. And they grew up in a home where the first thing they were introduced to was their father raping them or their uncle raping them and ruining them. Literally physically ruining them. And that's the dark side of some of these cases. And again, I'm not going to go into it how I know that, but you know, you run into people that work with these kinds of people, right? Let's say, where you start to hear their stories. You hear these people's stories. They come in and you see that guy on the side of the street. And sometimes those people on the side of the street were the fucking abusers. And then you're like, well, go fuck yourself. But you see that a large propensity of them have come from broken homes. And, you know, I can't even describe some of the horrors that I've heard. And it's very complicated. Or they grew up in extreme poverty. Their parents didn't want anything to do with them. They had mental health issues. They ended up on the street with mental health issues. They never got the right help. They turned instead to drugs to try and help them. And in the end, it just ended up getting them addicted, hooked on stuff. And it's,
So,
yeah.
With just going back to kind of like asylum seekers, with the people that are coming in, sure, there will be a couple people that will use the system or that will just effectively work their darndest to make life worse. But is it worth it for the people that truly are looking to try to like get into a better situation? And to call it entirely virtue signaling, I don't think is quite fair. I think there's definitely a lot of that going on.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
for Justin.
I would say, well, my argument for Justin is that
just as a whole with the program.
Oh yeah, no, and that's the thing, and you're right. And there are absolutely people that are involved with those efforts that want to genuinely help those people. I think of Justin as a narcissist psychopath that he is, as someone who would have used that and did use it as a talking point for virtue signaling, because they haven't actually followed through at first in actually communicating what the deal was. So they didn't actually really communicate to a lot of these people what the deal was. So these people come in here, they get federal, they get funding, they get housing, they get effectively like an employment insurance, and they get that for like a year and a half to get them on their feet. No one communicates to them that runs out, and you have to actually go and find a job or get education on your own and figure it out. And so that's what that's literally happened and is happening, where these people are coming in and being like, oh, I thought I was just going to get this money forever. It's like, did they not tell you that this was just something to help you get on your feet? No, they didn't. And then are they dealing with the people that started stirring up shit? No, they weren't. So like, why is that? Well, they don't want to take accountability for it. So why did they do this? They genuinely cared about these people. They would follow through and be honest with them and deal with the people that are making all the other people who immigrated look bad. They didn't. So then what do I consider, I guess, this act to be if they didn't follow through and actually lifting these people up out of, I consider it to be kind of a virtue signal by the government, but that's just my interpretation of it. But
I got one very relevant post here then for you. Okay. That will sum this whole thing up.
Okay, I'm just going to read through some of the comments here quickly before, because I want to go through. Yeah, when you can campaign using millions of dollars and buy yourself a seat at the table, you aren't a leader. You're just a wealthy business person. Yeah. And isn't that the problem, man, with a lot of fucking shit?
Yeah, that's a big problem.
Yeah. Guys, isn't it going to be funny as Musk keeps slashing USAID and then 4chan goes down? Yeah. That is kind of a funny coincidence, isn't it, brother? Although, we're not even going to get into the fucking...
Oh, yeah, that's right. There were some hot takes I had about that. But I don't know if we have time to talk about this.
Yeah, I'll write Titus this. So I have one final question to ask before I go. We had all those ages like the Stone, Bronze Age, and Middle Industrial, and currently are in the digital one. What could be the next stage as we expect to get? Also, great fun stream. Yeah, thanks for coming by, man. Yeah. Question for the both of us. What do you think the next stage is? Well, personally, GALENTV, you can answer that yourself. I think we're going to enter the age of artificial intelligence. That's the next stage. We're in digital now, but I think it's going to be the age of artificial intelligence, personally. I think that's where we're going to be going with it. That'll facilitate the future ages, too, I think, whatever they end up being. Yeah.
Effectively, it's like what comes after the digital age. So would the artificial age be part of the digital age or be at the end of the digital age? I'm gonna go one step further.
Oh.
I'm gonna say that it would be like the age of the Internet of Things.
Okay.
Have you heard of what that phrase? Do you know what I mean by
Vaguely, yeah. I think so. What is it?
You know what? I'm gonna look it up and go to see.
Yeah, I would say the digital age is like the cocoon, and then AI is like the butterfly bursting out of the digital age. I think is one analogy I've heard used before. So that would be like what facilitates the next one. Yeah.
This is kind of what I was thinking of with it, but the definition, this is what the Google AI says. The Internet of Things, or IoT, it says there, refers to a network of physical objects or things embedded with sensors, software, and network connectivity, allowing them to connect to and exchange data with other devices and systems over the internet. These devices, ranging from wearables to home appliances, use unique identifiers to communicate and share information without human intervention.
Right.
Okay, that's actually not quite what I was thinking of with it. I was thinking of that effectively it makes it like, well, You know what? Maybe that is kind of what it is, because it might be a little bit of artificial intelligence, but I think it would be like a communication or like automated service. So the digital age would be like a service of like you still have to look up the information. The AI brings the information to you, and then the next step after that would be is like it's going to predict when you're going to ask for the information and have the information ready for you before you even think about it.
Yeah.
That's spooky.
That's
Ooh, that's spooky.
Yeah, it's like you're saying the FBI agent's not gonna like what they see in your fridge. Yeah, brother, that's fucking. Or the dishwasher tells you empty the filter on your phone. Yeah, listen, I mean, what's probably gonna happen is there's gonna be an apocalypse. But from that, maybe the aliens will come down and save us. That's quite literally my only hope, and I'm not even joking. Really, at this point, I think that might be our only literal hope. So we better start practicing fucking CE5 right the fuck now. Because if we don't, we're probably all gonna die. But that's another topic for another time, you know. Fuck, it's really
maybe
dark.
That's what brings about the apocalypse. Maybe the CEI brings about the apocalypse.
Maybe it tells us what's gonna cause the apocalypse. Maybe it figures out what's gonna cause it. Maybe it tells us something we don't want to hear.
It's going to say, it's me,
brother.
I'm going to cause the apocalypse.
Yeah, no, see,
the AI,
I don't know. It's open-ended. It's not one thing or another. It could be a couple fucking things there, yeah. Your washing machine texts you when finished. Holy fuck, boy, I never got hooked that up. My last place I had, though, was fucking ancient-ass fucking stuff. But that's some next-level tech there. Jesus Christ, yeah. Tiny things to the fall, man. Yeah.
This... God damn.
Yeah. Take care.
I got to read this one thing too, just because it's super relevant. We're talking about Canada. Yeah. This guy says, well, my biggest conspiracy theory is that Canada fucking sucks. That seems to be a conspiracy to most people, like, heckin' no, it's not the mass media conspiring to make Canada look like some type of utopia because it's convenient to the globalists. Like, seriously, why does the media push that Canada's a nice country? Also, I think that Britain probably sucks as well, because Canada is a British colony. And I think most of British colonies suck. And I think the monarchy in Britain has a lot more say and power than they let on to believe. I realize at some point that I think Canada is a racist country, but in a very selective manner. But I think, for me, it's partially because I'm not British looking. Over the last couple of years, they've been sort of mirroring Nazi Germany, except they're not nationalist at all. And also, while I experience white supremacy, but again, it's selective, and many other different races are left alone. Before you go, oh, that's heckin' good Nazi Germany, they're not actually Nazis, I spend a lot of time testing different theories by taking all sorts of actions to get a feel for what they actually are, because it's just so baffling what's taking place and going on here. There was extremes, collectivism, and blah blah blah, too much to write about. I don't think they are, because I think they're sort of lazy and hate really motivated fit people. It seems like, but again, it's always the racism aspect too. They're like big ox on pole type people who charge and come after you, and me, I'm basically like a rabbit, I guess. Man, this is way harder to read than I thought it was going to
be. Who's saying this exactly? Who's this guy?
This is just some random ass post.
That's what it sounds like.
I think they're sort of closet. I think they're sort of closet to being like the Soviet Union, and also Trudeau said he admires China's basic dictatorship. I think they pretend to be Nazis to save face in front of their allies and everyone else who might be watching, which doesn't make much sense either, but they don't want to lose face in front of their Western allies. I said they were communist in the past, but I don't really know what Soviet Union was like fully. Like, I met some Russians, and they didn't like me, and they were really upset at how fast I was. Like, they wanted to chase after me or something, so that's another conspiracy theory, I guess, that half the world is like that. I swear to God, I've had to rush rush around a lot, all because I was ambitious and poor, and I had to because there wasn't enough time for me to adequately survive. If I didn't, and people came after me and hated me, like fucking Canada, you can't go from rags to riches, basically.
I was trying to make sense of all that. I don't know if I
Yeah,
actually did.
that was just like word salad.
God,
is
that
what
guy's thought train, his patterns, is so disjointed. I don't know what he was even trying to say.
Well, I read through most of it just for.
Yeah.
I read through most of it just to see if there's any bad words, but I mostly just saw, well, my conspiracy is Canada sucks, and then I saw that part with racism in Canada, and that's like actually kind of a little bit of a theory I've been thinking of, is that maybe there's just like a little bit of like low key racism in the Canadian government, as the young kids say, low key.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's I don't. Canada's a pretty welcoming place. I don't know. There's a lot of different ethnicities. Like you go to Toronto.
Well,
I mean, there's a Chinese sector, there's an Indian sector, and then there's like a whatever the other fucking
what's the big
sector?
reason why? What's the big reason why there's such a big push to bring in like immigration into Canada?
Well, I mean, melting pot.
And it's because there's not enough job. There's not enough people to work the jobs.
We're gonna have AI soon, brother. We're not gonna fucking need fucking people to work the jobs.
Well, what happens is a lot of the people that come into the country have to work like the low minimum wage jobs, and they're effectively locked into that for like the entirety of their student visa or if their work permit, because if they quit, they effectively have to leave because they can't afford it. I almost wonder if it was like at least from like a corporate viewpoint, a like source of like cheap labor was the thought of it, and that was kind of like I was kind of thinking, I wonder if there's just like a little bit of that going on, you know?
Maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it could be. Yeah, it could be. I mean, maybe that could be what they're doing. I mean, at some point, I think it's going to stop soon, though. I mean, we're in the time period the next 5 to 6 years where we're going to see a lot of those jobs. A lot of the minimum wage jobs are going to be automated. Call center jobs, all that's going to get fucking decimated. Like they're not going to need any of those people anymore.
Probably going to get decimated.
Not going to need any of those people anymore. So I mean, that's the unfortunate part. We're going to have a lot of people.
You think jobs like service, like fast food jobs, are just going to be automated? 5
to 10 years is what the figures I've seen. Oh yeah, the McDonald's, all those corporations desperately don't want fucking have to train people to do that work. If they could have machines doing all that, they would fucking do that instantaneously. Yeah.
I guess the thought would be is like, would it be that fat? You think?
Oh, definitely. Devin Armour's, thank you for the sub, man. Oh well, listen, you put your fucking mind to it and all that money. All they need is the right fucking AI, and then they'll get somebody in there automated. Look at car manufacturing. Car manufacturing became almost entirely automated. I mean, the amount of workers that were necessary, it's astronomically lower. You should really probably study that and look and see how long it took them to go from, handmade to like assembly lines. And I think that'll be.
Why the hell is our car so expensive then?
Good fucking question. It's the question of the night, But yeah, you'd put Trudeau in a 12-foot deep pit and feed him barbecue cockroaches and cockroach milk to keep him alive. I would lower down A3 prints of Castro memes. I would ask his opinion on legalizing marijuana, if it's moral to freeze a citizen's bank account if they called him a big poopy head. Oh my heavens, yeah. It puts the shoe polish on his face and it gets the hose again. Oh my fucking god. I'm sorry, I was reading through the comments, guys. You're right, but we do finish up here. It is now 3 a.m. your time, guys. Golf, I don't know what time it is down there and down under, but probably sometime around lunchtime. But it is 11 p.m. here, and I think we are probably going to leave it there for this evening. But Mr. GALENTV, thank you, sir, for coming by and helping with this conversation and contributing to it again.
Oh boy, this conversation just went to a couple places today,
Yeah, it wasn't a schizo tonight. Yeah, man, I just got in to subscribe.
Well, the Loosh was pretty schizo. We spent a good hour on the Loosh.
That's true. That's fucking, Loosh is always, spicy meme. But yeah, you had to sub on 420, brother. Appreciate it. Yeah. Listen, I'll be back on tomorrow anyway. This is the Easter 420 edition, and be back on tomorrow. I don't know. I might be playing Oblivion, which isn't as exciting. If it does launch, I actually may just be streaming that. Tomorrow is kind of a holiday too. So I might just take that opportunity just to maybe stream that game, and I might be on earlier if it comes out earlier, and that might be all I'm doing tomorrow. So I don't know.
It's not a stat holiday. Did you know that?
It's not a stat holiday.
I thought it was that Easter Sunday and Monday are not stat holidays. Only Good Friday is a stat holiday.
Interesting. Well, currently I guess I'm still unemployed, so hey, just on here. Maybe listen, if I don't think this is probably going to happen where I'm going to get the partner for Twitch, but anyway, then I would be employed technically, but yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, listen, everybody, GALENTV, sir, thank you once again. Always good conversation.
Thanks for having me again.
And to everybody else, listen, it is 3 a.m., so you will hear me again tomorrow. Atlantean Secrets. So you know the meme. Until next time, take care.
It's 7 in the evening and everything is fine. I'm not expecting visitors, so I can stream all night. I'll take my stream deck out from where I'm playing Fortnite. We'll play until the morning. At 3 a.m. we hear him again from the sound of the submarine. It's Jim Russell, the commander of Island 49, the guardian of the ancient keys, the keys of Atlantis mysteries, Atlantean secrets, the keys. My dudes, let's follow in order to let go. Distorted echoes, the mysterious magnetic fields. Atlantean seas. We have to swim through the ocean, the periscopic deception. Ancient doorways that tremble before the subterranean castle. He calls us, my dudes, robots and erudites. 'Cause at 3 a.m. we hear him again from the sound of the almond shells. It's Jim Russell, Union leader of Sorceric Knights. And he parts in the breaking dawn.